privacy standards that will never, ever become again.
So difficult for so many of these families across the country. And Alex, I know this is a touch and go for so many schools, so many parents watching these cases rise, really, whether to keep schools open or go online for learning. And you have new numbers on children and the virus here in the U.S.?
Yeah, David, we learned today from the American Academy of Pediatrics, more than 1 million children have tested positive for coronavirus since the beginning of the pandemic. Several cities like New York now closely watching infection rates to determine if they should fully return to online learning. David?
All right, Alex, thank you. Meantime, tonight, President-elect Joe Biden on the Trump administration not willing to begin the transition, as is always done. Of course, more important than ever now, because we're in the middle of this deadly pandemic. Biden saying today that we must work together on a plan to get these vaccines out to Americans, and that any delay because they didn't work together could cause more people to die. Here's Mary Bruce.
President-elect Joe Biden today is a dire warning of what's to come if President Trump doesn't quickly begin the transition process, saying if his team can't coordinate with the White House coronavirus task force, it could hold up distribution of a vaccine.
More people may die if we don't coordinate. If we have to wait until January 20th to start that plan, it puts us behind over a month and a half. And so it's important that it be done, that there be coordination now.
Even members of the president's task force are urging the White House to share information.
I mean, the virus is not going to stop and call a timeout while things change. We want to really get the ball rolling as we get into January, February, and March. We want a smooth process for that. And the way you do that is by essentially having the two groups speak to each other and exchange information.
But Trumpy's giving Biden a hard time.
Is also sounding the alarm.
It is our focus to make sure that we're going to save people's life, and anything that may slow that process or create any disruption is something that worries us appropriately.
But the president is stonewalling, refusing to concede and proceed with a peaceful transition of power.
Evil.
Yeah, he is. He might be.
I won the election. It doesn't appear that the president is going to come around.
He tweeted again, I won the election.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm following Biden, Harris. I looked today at lunch. I'm following another asshole like Pence. I'm trying to get more
Republican Democrats to try to
aware of what's going on.
a serious and consistent plan, so we're ready on day one. So it would make it a lot easier if the president would participate. I am hopeful that the president will be mildly more enlightened before we get to January.
The president is all but ignoring this COVID crisis, even as cases surge. He hasn't met with his coronavirus task force in 5 months. The president now more focused on keeping his job than doing it.
I find this
He's such an asshole.
more embarrassing for the country than debilitating for my ability to get started.
All right, so let's get right to Mary Bruce live in Washington tonight. And Mary, former First Lady Michelle Obama that weighing in on this transition, or the transition that's not happening at this point. She's actually urging President Trump to move forward, saying in her words that this isn't a game.
They're gonna have
David Shubert,
It ain't gonna happen.
to play along with these groundless conspiracy theories, whether it's personal or political gains, to put our country's health and security in danger. This isn't a game. And she goes on to
got a bunch of these.
Even though they were repented lost by a small margin, she graciously conceded that the Obamas were for Trump's Michelle Obama said it wasn't easy because they did it for the sake of our country. David.
All right, Mary Bruce with us tonight as well. Thanks, Mary. And tonight, the lawsuits brought by President Trump and his campaign after the election. What are judges saying about that? Tonight, from Michigan to Pennsylvania to Nevada, the judges have been clear, and the messages and emails sent out to the president's supporters saying we're closer than ever and it's happening. Where is that money going? Here's Terry Moran.
For all the sound and fury on Twitter and TV from President Trump and his allies about election fraud, then we have two cases in the courts where evidence gets scrutinized, authenticated, and tested. They're getting more than 2 dozen cases in the court, and no one of the fraud from any judge, either state or federal, Republican or Democratic. Case after case tossed out, and the judges strikingly dismissive of the claims. In Michigan, Republicans claimed they had evidence that counting should be stopped. The judge wasn't happy.
I heard somebody else say something. Tell me how that's going to say. Come on now.
In Nevada, Republican lawyers claimed their observers weren't close enough. The judge snapped. At what point does this get ridiculous? In Pennsylvania, Trump's lawyers claimed their observers were being blocked, then admitted they were in the room. The judge, a Republican appointee, firing back, I'm sorry, then what's your problem?
Love it. A Republican appointee. Then what's your problem?
Sending hundreds of emails looking for money, claiming progress. This election is far from over, or gaining momentum, or closer than ever. It's happening. But a chunk of that money went to retire the president's campaign debt. And
Yeah,
now
they
the
think-
Biden free
they-
release said 60%.
They think they're using this to pay off his
That's Trump's
campaign.
own new political election.
And Terry Moran was
He's drumming up, getting money from all these idiots.
He's also refusing.
And then he can use it for his own personal benefit.
And tonight ABC was also learning the head of the General Services Administration, Trump appointee.
So Republican appointed judges have been tossing out his claims and lawsuits.
Murphy is the head of the GSA, charged by federal law with pulling the trigger to start the transition, and she won't do it apparently because of these court cases. But we have learned that she is making inquiries about employment outside the
Come and
country.
look at nurture. This is the inside of it.
She's hedging her bets.
That's one little corner.
Terry Moran, Terry, thank you. Next news tonight on American troops.
You're not gonna do it on the big screen
I
downstairs?
don't know how. I've tried and tried and tried.
Am I keeping this or throwing it out?
I'll probably throw it out if we got a lot of ice packs. It just came with like my Vitacost order.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Up to you. What do you think?
How about this one? How about this one?
Military and some of it, so he will not get the full withdrawal. He wants it, but this is
How about this one?
Well, that's safe, yeah. I mean, maybe save this one in case you have like a lunch bag or something. You just want something small.
How about this one?
I'd throw out
think
this
this one-
one. I mean, it's
This
not
one's been
bad.
leaking.
Okay, throw that one. It's old.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
if we
gonna
have,
throw this one away, too.
that's an ice pack.
Well, it holds an ice pack. If I
Oh.
hold this, it needs to be washed.
Well, I can wash it. Cause what if somebody has something wrong with their leg or arm? Kind of nice. Throw it in the laundry room.
How about this one?
Afghanistan now would hurt our allies and the like people who wish
I
us
get
harm.
that.
We also know, as we've mentioned,
Oh.
earlier, this comes after defense
That's
secretary
kind of
Mark
neat.
Esper
Is that with a headache or something?
not in favor of such a
Should I put it in the bathroom, like with the rest of like
Well, it's
the?
an ice pack.
I know, but you don't really have to put it in
Oh,
unless.
microwave, freeze.
Yeah. So it doesn't
Or
really need-
refrigerate.
doesn't
Use
really
only as
need
a
to
cold
be in
pack
there,
for
but
over
what
the
is-
eyes.
A cold pack?
So I guess it's going to freeze.
Yeah, oh boy. We don't probably need it now in there. I can put it in the bathroom.
What's this?
No, I don't really want a bunch. Get rid of that. That looks dangerous.
Boy Scouts declaring bankruptcy in February, intending to use the process to pay as the scope of the problem is clear. In a statement, the organization tonight saying the response to the scheme from survivors has been gut-wrenching. The economy tonight and a promising vaccine.
Oh,
And I was even thinking, I'm like, do I need a notebook and pen or, you know what? You might. Do you want me to grab you some paper? That would be awesome. I'm gonna just give you the back of some old lessons.
Oh, that's fine.
Don't
Oh my
see a
gosh,
notebook.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So did you want, I'm sorry, pants? I used to use this bag for ballet and it had a notebook in it and I'm like, there's no room in here. I need these, like, it's jam packed with blocks. Oh my gosh. Actually, I have some notebook actual paper here because I brought my laptop. This is fine. Okay. This is fine unless you want me to use it. Nope. Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. I grabbed my own thing around. So do you have any concerns with like anything changing in the state or no? Is there potential? I'm trying to ignore him. He creates a lot of anxiety for me. Okay. So I do have concerns that we'll have another statewide shutdown. I don't know if he's legally able to do that. Okay. So but if we're mandated to shut down, we just have to be sure that that's legal, because if it is, then what will happen is if we practice and we're not supposed to and somebody gets hurt, our insurance won't cover us. Yeah. So then we would go Zoom. Yeah. There's a couple of studios that have already paused in-person sessions, but our classes have remained significantly low, from what we normally have. We had maybe 3 people a class, maybe. Wow. But that's just because people are really good at, taking care. Like, they know not to come here if they're sick. Hey, Carly.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing a little bit better.
Well, I'm glad you're able to log on. Do what you can. Do what feels good.
How have you been?
I'm good. I'm sitting in the studio with 2 friends. I'm here with Julie and Jill. You can probably see the different angles.
Yes.
And then there's Kylie and Aaron J. Aaron J is actually going to start teaching a Zoom class starting in December. It'll be a restorative hatha flow, right, Aaron J? Totally put him on the spot.
Sorry, guys, I was speaking on mute. It will be restorative type hatha flow.
Very good. Very cool.
Yeah, and I see like myself in the tripod, and I think I am covering myself completely. So I'm happy that this tripod is actually working.
Thank you for being the inversion model tonight. I appreciate it, and
Sure.
so did cervical injury.
Mhm.
Who do
Yeah,
we have?
are really fun, but you have to be a little bit careful with them.
Yes. Hi, Joan. Welcome.
Hello.
I'm Tracy. Nice to meet you.
Dawn Cassie's friend.
Oh, great. I think Dawn is going to join as well.
I bet we're besties.
Oh, how sweet. Gabriel's calling. Hi, Gabriel. Okay, well, do it right now. Bye-bye. Just have a link to get on.
Hey, Kyrie, I love your setup. It looks almost like a yoga studio.
Thank you. My mom has like all this. I moved all of my parents' furniture. I was like, Dad, you have to help me. Thank you. I was like, I'm gathering all the candles in the house. I'm like, all right, I promise I won't start the house on fire, but thank you.
Yeah, and if you don't know, yesterday was Diwali, so happy Diwali.
Yeah.
Happy Diwali.
Oh, Master's there.
Hello,
Yeah.
Gabriel.
Hello. Okay, it's good to see everybody here. Is the cold weather drawing people into class? That's very nice.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Joan Hickey. Hello. Oh my God, look at this. You never know who show up. So good to see you.
How are you, girl?
They're young women. They're not girls anymore.
That's true.
All right. Hi, Anita. You're
Hi.
all kind of shrouded in you're like in a goth mode.
Yeah.
That's freaky with a little light on your face. Okay, that's good. And hi, Mimi.
Hi there.
You're also kind of like in a dark mode there.
Yeah, I turned my basement light off.
whatever. All right,
Cozy. I have my little fake fireplace going.
very nice.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy, I said we had 15 people who said they signed up, but will they
We
show
do.
up?
We do have 15 people who said they're gonna show up and sign up and they paid.
Oh my God, well, that's the important thing, right?
Well, that's part of it, but I mean, that's not the most important part. The part that show
Of
up.
course not. All right. So, hi, Rochelle.
Hello.
You're here. Thank you. And we have a new friend connecting with audio, but no name on the button. Anne, hi, good. Glad you're here. Carly, hello. How are you? Checking in. And Kylie O'Halloran. There's Carly and Kylie. Okay, both of you. Great. All right. And is Nancy coming with us tonight? She
is.
She is. All right. There's so much going on.
I want to make you the host, Gabriel.
Okay. Hello, Eileen. Glad that you're here. Thank you for coming.
Hey, Gabriel.
All right. So we have two Anns, or is that you have two cameras?
Do you see me twice?
I see you once in a picture, and then there's another one that says Ann's phone, but it's no camera.
Oh, let me check.
All right, there we go. Julie, you checking in with us? Good to get you on camera.
Excuse me.
All right, well,
He's here with me.
I don't have my audio on.
yeah. Okay, here. Oh, there goes Nancy. Hello.
Maybe
Glad that you're here. Great. So if you guys want to mute yourself, but at any time, press the space bar if you want to interrupt and share something or ask a question. You don't have to wait till the end. Nice to have you check in. Oh, and there's another friend. Hi, Cassie. Hello. Glad you're here.
My video is not gonna be good because my selfie camera, remember, is broken.
Mhm.
I have all kinds of, and then I went to connect with this and I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi.
All right.
Right, the
So
Wi-Fi was.
let's begin with our hand mudra for tonight. Chaturmukha, Chaturmukham. Chatur means four and Mukham means faces. So you touch the pads of all the fingers together, but not the thumb. So pinky to pinky, ring to ring, middle to middle, index to index. And there's space between the fingers. You hold it at your heart height. Chaturmukham, set to balance the elements. So hold that for a moment and close your eyes. And the beginning on time, but it's also like a 5-minute window to give other people who might be checking in. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, everybody's here. Well, that's good. Checking. All right. So close your eyes, my friends. Get centered. State your intention for being here tonight. Yogena chitasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam patanjalim panjalir anatosmi abahu purushakaram Shanka Chakrasidarinam Sahasra Shirasam Shwetam Pranamami Patanjalim Harihi Om. Bring your hands together in Namaste into the center of your chest. Bow your head and salute the essence of yoga within yourself. Keeping the eyes closed, bring your head up on your spine. Relax your hands face up in your lap and gently open your eyes. Well, I am mighty glad to be alive today. I hope that you are too. You know, that's the way I like to start all of my classes, but it's not just starting the class that way. You know, one of the things that you'll find will be very helpful for your immune system, since that's what we're supposed to be talking about, yoga and the immune system, is if you bookend your days with gratitude. Bookend your days with gratitude. That means the moment you wake up and you say, oh, I'm conscious, I'm alive, I made it through the night, right away. That's the start. In the Jewish tradition, you're supposed to say, Modeh ani, grateful am I. The gratefulness comes before even your ego gets involved in the whole thing. You made it through another day, fantastic. And then if you're lucky enough to make it through the day, and this is not a downer, this is just what I learned from hospice, a lot of people didn't make it through the day. All right. And so if you lay your head down on your pillow and you made it through the day, bookend the day and be thankful for all the things that happened during your day, that you didn't get run over by a car or catch COVID or, you know, I mean, you know, like one of my old mantras, RNJ, you remember this, one of my old mantras used to be, anything that could happen to a human being could happen to me today. Now, the likelihood of me being kidnapped by Peruvian drug smugglers and held for ransom, not so much, but still, anything that could happen to a human being, you know, think of the things that happened. You didn't think that was going to happen at the beginning of the day, right? So, but you're grateful at the end of the day. And if you wake up tomorrow, just remember, from the hospice point of view, a lot of people won't. So if you do wake up tomorrow, just a small suggestion, bookend your day with, I'm grateful to be alive today. I'm grateful I made it through the day. And let's see what happens after that. All right. So with that being said, one of my own students was hollering at me. Yes, hollering at me. I thought I'm the one who's supposed to holler at you. You know, for the people who don't study with me, you know that that's one of the ground rules when you go into studying with me. You cannot trash talk yourself in front of me. I refuse to listen to any bad mouthing. It's such a buzzkill for me. I banish it from a face-to-face confrontation. You want to badmouth yourself behind my back to other people? Be my guest, but not in front of me. I badmouth you. I trash talk you. That's how this works. And it's important that you understand the rules of the game, because if you want to draw yourself out of chaos into cosmos and have an ordered life, understand how it works. Otherwise, like, you know, how can you play the game? You don't know the rules. Of course you're messing up all the time. I'm telling you, that's one of the rules of the game. You trash talk behind my back, but I trash talk to you. Anyway, so one of my students was hollering at me. And you know what they were saying? Why don't you play guitar anymore? And I tried to make the lame excuse that when Zoom first came out, you know, in the old days, I used to project the words from my computer on the wall and everybody would sing along, even when I went on the road, not just at the yoga circle. But once I realized in the first week, Zoom doesn't have a thing where we're linked up. It's not exactly in the same sync. When you see those musicians who play all over the world, they send it to a master editor. Each person records their own thing and somebody else has to put it together so it comes out in real time. That's not what's happening here. So I held myself back unnaturally from showing you my guitar skills, but tonight you're gonna get it. Yeah, what can you do? I walk with beauty all around me as I walk the beauty way. I walk with beauty all around me as I walk the beauty way. I walk with beauty before me. I walk with beauty behind me. I walk with beauty above me. I walk with beauty below me. I walk with beauty all around me. As I walk the beauty way. Now let's rock. I walk with beauty all around me. As I walk the beauty way. I walk with the beauty all around me. As I walk the beauty way. I walk with beauty before me. I walk with beauty behind me. I walk with beauty above me. I walk with beauty below me. I walk with the beauty all around me. As I walk the beauty way. Just a taste. Just a taste. You buy the nickel bag first, and then it's like a gateway drug into the whole album. All right. So I wanted to start off with beauty because a lot of people don't feel there's beauty around them, especially now. But the map is not the territory, so you got to get clear about what you're talking about when you use words. And since some of you have studied with me, you know I think homo aestheticus is one of the other ways that human beings ought to be known. We beautify our environment, we beautify ourselves. Haven't you heard me say that all the time? Accessorizing is everything for the yoga teachers out there. Exactly. Color coordination and accessorizing, I always say that. So I want to bring you a message from the Choctaw grandmas in Oklahoma, because most of the teachings I share are with women. So I just want to let you know that the grandmothers are affecting me as well. And they want you to honor stuff. So you can think of like each time you honor something, you're bringing beauty to that. What does it mean to honor something? To serve, give it respect, to acknowledge it in some way, to affirm it, to praise it, to recognize it, to mirror it. Say whatever word you want, but that's what I call very kingly or queenly. To shine a certain light on something and admit it so all ears can hear. This is the truth. And that's beautiful. So here are some of the things, only a partial list. Are you recording this?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good, because that way people don't have to take notes. They can just let it hit them and they can go back and listen to it later on. Unless you think you only have to listen to what I say once and then you got it, right? So the Choctaw grandmas, this is what they say. Honor risk. Honor humility. Honor love. Honor spontaneity. Honor curiosity. Honor confidence. Honor respect. Honor honesty. Honor advocacy. Honor practice. Honor creation. Honor vows. Honor song. Honor dance. Honor worth. Honor laughter. Honor sorrow. Honor rage. Honor depth. Honor transformation. Honor maturity. Honor responsibility. Honor security. Honor grace. Honor laughter. Honor observation. Honor restoration. And honor sensuality, just as a partial list. Create your own list, and you realize the more honor you can give to everyone and everything, the more you can see the indwelling presence shining in everything, the more beauty you will bring into your life. All right, so we've got a lot to do and a nice set of exercises for you. So let's get started here. First, as the short version, this is supposed to be an inoculation against nihilism. I hope that some of you had to look up that word. But very few people would disagree that we're living in a time of overwhelm. And stress and strain sap your energy. It's a perfect recipe for getting ill. So much seems to be coming at us so fast and furious, which in itself depresses your nervous system. It's no wonder that we feel nervous and sick, because we don't give ourselves time. And you know what? We didn't give ourselves time before the pandemic. So stop bullshitting. This is a problem of modern life. It just got exacerbated by the pandemic. But look critically at where you were before, running around doing tons of stuff and still not getting everything done, wishing you had more time. Yoga suggests, and always has suggested, that if you first learn how to discriminate between real threat and perceived threat, that's a biggie. You got to give yourself a break or time to recover. And yoga has ample tools, practice of restorative poses, breathing exercises, meditative focus, not to mention other things I'm going to talk about in a moment when I get to the sankalpa, the intentions that you make and how it fits into the yogic path. But of course, you just know this intuitively. Why don't we take more advantage of it? That's the particular mania you got to figure out about your path. If you increase your circulation and oxygenation in your body, your brain, your whole self will get a boost, a chemical reaction to ward off disease, whether that's bacterial, viral, environmental, all kinds of toxins. And of course, the emotional plague, the bullshit that's out on the street that you have to learn how to shield yourself against. So that's what we're about in tonight's lesson. So as a student, is there anybody here who's listening who is not a student of yoga? Please identify yourself for me. Okay, so you're all practitioners, right? Doesn't matter how much or how long you've practiced, but I want you to understand there's a difference between you as a practitioner and you as somebody who's not interested in yoga or chooses not to practice. So let me make that clear. If I come across tonight like an evangelical, preacher, right? That's good, because I'm trying to persuade you. I'm trying to move you emotionally because you have a foot in the door. But understood that if you weren't a yoga student, and I don't care whether you're my student or not, but if you weren't a yoga student, you haven't given me any license. Like a person I meet off the street, I don't say to them, hey, there's something wrong with you. You need to change. I'm very, very clear because of all the things that I've been doing. This is what I call yoga apartheid, right? I'm higher than you. I have less of a carbon footprint. I eat almost vegan. I mean, there are so many things that you need to change in your life that would make you better. And by your own admission, you're not too happy with the way things are. So it's not like I'm laying it. I never do that to people if they're not yoga students. I don't want them to change. I don't want them to be any different, because it has to come from inside yourself. If you're not curious about this, if you're not sincere about wanting to learn, if you're not enthusiastic about this, if you don't want to take self-initiative, I can only kick you in your ass after you've gotten it. No, it's not for me to jumpstart you. I'll help you keep going. I'll help encouraging you. I'll tell you where I think you got holes in your bucket, so all the energy is leaking out and you can't carry anything. That's one of my old teachings. Some of you may remember it from the old days. I used to live in Tennessee for a while. And so I had some real country teachers, real Christian folk, right? Not consciousness people, but down to earth, salt of the earth. They used to say things like, because we used to have one of those wells, we have to pump the thing like that to get the water up. And then once you've done the frenzied pumping to get it going, you don't have to do it that hard. You can kind of lay back a little bit and ease on it. Yeah. So one of them used to say, hey, son, plug up the holes in your bucket. What? Yeah, plug up the holes in your bucket. What do you mean by that? What's the sense of getting water from the well if you have holes in the bucket? By the time you fill up your bucket and you carry it to where you need it, it's leaked all the way out. Plug up the holes in your bucket, son. Whoa. I can get you high in 150 different ways, including visionary vegetables, if that's the way you want to go. Okay, fine. But whether I get you high, if you can't contain the high, if you can't keep it because you got holes in your bucket, your aura is like Swiss cheese. What good is it if I give you techniques? So each person has to learn to contain with their own personal power what the transmission is. Otherwise, you can't get nourished on it. You keep leaking it out. Yeah. So curiosity, enthusiasm, initiative, and of course, all that means risk. I got to risk something. I got to choose something over something else. You know, they call that cost opportunity. You know, like if you choose to date someone from somebody else, well, you know, maybe the person who you're not dating might have really been a great one, but that's the cost of choosing something different. And that's why a lot of people don't make any choices at all. Number one, because once you make a choice, you set up the conditions for failure. Now somebody knows, including yourself, how it can go down in a way you don't want it to. So rather than even face the threat of it going down in a way I don't want, I won't make any plans, I won't do anything, therefore I can't make any mistakes, and that's great, right? Then you live a life of quiet desperation. So, first, I want to have a meeting with you as if we're a bunch of devotees living in the old time, when the language was very simple. And we didn't have to worry about fake news or misinformation because we're in the satsanga. We're in the fellowship with truth. We're with all the other people who are interested on working on themselves and making an effort to put out the best one they got, the sanest one, the wisest one, the funniest one, the most compassionate one, the one that wants to cooperate and collaborate and flow, right? We're all there. So listen to these words. Supposedly, I wasn't there, from the Mangalam Sutra of the Buddha. This is called Buddha's Discourse on Blessing. To spend time in the company of wise people and to honor those who are worthy. To live in a place that is good for you, to do good deeds and keep right on going in the right direction. To be well educated, to develop your skills, coming to train yourself in discipline and use your words carefully and beautifully. To take good care of your mother or your father, to cherish children and engage in a livelihood that's harmless. To give generously to others, to deliver integrity, to care for everyone you consider your family. To avoid doing harm, to be careful with intoxicants, and to develop wholesome states of mind. To be respectful, humble, content, grateful, and regularly bring spiritual teachings into your life. To be patient, open to learning, to be in touch with people on the spiritual path, and to discuss spiritual teachings. To delight in a simple and holy way, to understand the deepest truth, and to realize the highest freedom and happiness. Given the face of the crazy world, the crazy ways of the world, a mind that studies is free from sorrow, shame, and filled with peace. Those who act in these ways cannot be dragged down. Everywhere they go, they find well-being. So if I say Buddha, you say yeah. I say Buddha.
Yeah.
I say Buddha, you say, I say
Yeah.
Buddha, you say, I say Buddha, you say, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, let me give you a couple of insights from different places that I feed at, and you can see how each one has a different way of looking at how to deal with strengthening your immune system, and then I'll give you the yogic version of this. Is there anybody out there who thinks they're a late bloomer? Okay, fine.
I am.
My mother used to say, you deserve a lot of success. You had a lot of lean years. You're a late bloomer. It freaked me out. It pissed me off. I'm not a late bloomer. I was an early bloomer. I just bloomed in a different direction than everybody expected.
Oh.
All right, so let's get real here. For those of you who don't know me, you cannot stay with me too long before I bring up the shadow issues, which means the obstacles, the hindrances, the fetters, the things that you're slave to, the attachments, the things that shoot yourself in the foot, the things that are self-sabotaging. I'm not going into liberalism now. Does everybody understand what I mean by not going into liberalism now? Come on, who's the person who's supposed to say, no, what do you mean by liberalism?
I don't.
Thank you so much. Come on, it's a setup. Liberalism is the part that doesn't believe in the sovereignty of the individual. That all of us with, white privilege and education, westernized, in democracy, from rich countries and stuff like that, we all have a certain perspective of the world. Liberalism is the part that says, you can't just pull order out of your own ass just because the Western culture is giving you the sovereignty of the self. You are great because you're the consumer. You are great because you're the voter. You are great because you're the one who hits the next click on the algorithm to get, like the individual has power, right? And of course, then you have stories like one person, Steve Jobs, creates one thing, like a cell phone. How about that? One person changing the world, right? So we get lost in that. But liberalism doesn't say that. That's humanism. Liberalism says more like Marxism. Don't you understand that some people are experiencing such shit from the social system, from the political system, from a class system? They don't have the opportunity to educate themselves, to make choices like this. They're working all the time, 2 jobs, with family situations that would boggle your mind, that how could anybody possibly not be insane? And if you look at the way the world is, you realize a lot of people are insane because of that. So they would say, unless you change the social system and the political system, right? Yeah, you can talk about a few individuals who seem to have relative freedom, even though you all know you can't control everything anyway. It gets exhausting trying to do that. But especially when you realize other people, they can't even do that. They can't even live under the illusion that I got choice. And yoga teaches you that, right? It's the ultimate self-responsibility. I hit the mat. I get the benefit. I bring that out into the world. Maybe I change some other people. Yeah, but there are tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people on our planet right now. They can't say that. So liberalism, they have another argument about you got to change the other institutionalized stuff. Otherwise, it's impossible to talk about humanism alone. And of course, both of them have interesting things to say. But for the late bloomers, let's start off as if we're still talking about humanism. There's something that's up to you. Because remember, that was one of the old hippie dictums, which was the humanist thing, right? There is something I can do, which is in my power to do. And if I do it, it makes a difference. So that's the basis of why we believe in it. All right, so first, let me get into the shadow thing so you can understand. Anything that's worth having, and anytime you face anything that's worth having, the predator shows up. The part that would prevent you from doing that, it's your own shadow, your own Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, some other figure inside yourself. Sometimes you might recognize it as the negative sniping voice. How about that one? The severing voice. The one that tells you you're no good, you're not worth it, you'll never amount to anything, you don't know squat. Who speaks like that in your head? Whose voice is that? You can say it's your own, but it's not. Because if you keep on going back, what baby is born coming in here saying, I'm worthless, I'll never amount to anything, I'm not lovable? No, none. Somebody plants that seed along the way and you buy it. And why you buy that seed compared to all the other trash talking things that were said to you, that's a question for psychotherapy. But that it happens, I would say to almost everybody. It's the degree of how traumatic it is that we can discuss what are you going to do about that now, knowing that happened. So just for the little kid in you, just let me remind you, okay? First of all, it wasn't your fault, whatever it was. But as the adult who I'm speaking to now, and not only who I'm speaking to now to go back and help that little boy or little girl, but especially to your future self. This is all about an appeal to your future self. who you have a great responsibility for and to. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is if you have a picture of yourself as a little boy or a little girl, carry it around in your wallet. Keep it out where you can see it and love that little bugger because they've been with you the whole time and they're going to stay with you. And if you take them along, anybody watching The Mandalorian out there? Yeah. Well, take that cute little kid with you, all right, wherever you go. Do the same thing for your inner teen. All right. Now, if you don't listen to this and confront what I call the severing voice, the one that cuts you off. I married an Irish woman. You're going to listen to the Banshee's Lonely Croon. You're going to listen to the Banshee's Lonely Croon. And that means if you don't change your course, you're setting out on a path of destruction. Your path will lead you to doom your consciousness instead of to learn how to radiate it. And what's going to repair you is getting in touch with this radiant consciousness. So I have to help you not to stay with the status quo. If yoga is truly going to be a radical change, radical means from the roots, you have to transgress. Oh my God, are there any Catholics out there freaking out? You got to transgress. What does that mean? Probably not what you think it means, although it probably means that too. It means you got to break the enchantment. You're like under a spell that others have put upon you. Mythologically, you heard the voice of the sirens. Oh, the siren call. It got me hooked. It's pulling me under. Yeah. You got to go to your taproot. What is your taproot? I don't know. It's your taproot. I mean, yoga has its own story, tells you it's everybody's taproot. But, you know, I prefer to think of this way. Each one of us is a river. And so each river has many tributaries flowing into it. So to that extent, everything that has come into your life makes you a unique river flow. Not to be compared to any other river flow, which has totally different tributaries coming into it. Unique and fascinating as you are, and just as individual. But the end journey of every river flow is to empty into the ocean, where you kind of merge, and in a certain way, you could either say lose your identity, or you could say expand your identity. It's a choice between mistakes, whichever word you want to use. But you get the idea? So once you understand all the old stories, and at a certain level, even yoga, because up to a certain point, yoga is just replacing or substituting its story for the current story that you're living. But if you study yoga enough, it also has an out clause, right? Once you've checked the box that says, I agree to the terms and conditions, you didn't realize that further on, it destroys itself. It takes you into the stage of what they call nirbija samadhi. There's no thoughts. You're not planting any seeds for anything further. It stops everything. So who's left to talk about any of this? Who's left to argue about any of this? Who's left to decide about any of this? There's nobody there to either be confused or clarified. It's an emptying process. Doesn't sound as good in words, but the experience of it is everybody says it's really what you should be going for. Anyway, don't let anybody make you like anybody know who Procrustes was in the Greek mythology? Come on, who has a liberal arts education out there? You do, Nancy, come on. All right, don't look it up online right now. Procrustes is one of these really mean, sadistic kings in the Greek tradition. He would pretend to be the host. Everything would be nice until it was time for bed. Then he would have you come into the special bedroom, and if you weren't big enough to fit the bed, he would put you on the rack and stretch you. And if you were too big to fit in the bed, he would chop your limbs off so you would fit. Mm-hmm. So in psychoanalysis, that's called the fitting game. You know, they stretch you or they chop you up into pieces so you can fit their way. So this is another metaphor. You have to watch out for people in your life who pull you a certain way and try to make you bigger in a way that doesn't fit, or they shoot you down to size and try to chop you up and make you fit. And that doesn't work either. So you have to learn to not lie down in a bed that's not of your own making. That's the takeaway. Don't lie down in a bed that's not of your own making. And why people would have loyalty to what one is not, what one is not, what one is not one's own. That's why you're entranced. That's why you're troubled. That's why there's perpetual anxiety from abandoning your own self, abandoning your own energy, abandoning your own intellect, abandoning your own sexuality, abandoning your own excitement. You've abdicated. So I understand that each one of us has a part that's been burnt, that's been scorched, that has been deflated, dehydrated, dried out. We're not the juicy, verdant, luscious 360-degree globes of radiance that we were when we were first coming on this earth. So I have to ask you, where do you feel most safe? When you're creating? When you're doing good? When you're making something useful? Or just for the sake of creativity? Art is always making something. When you're allowing things to come from your own unconscious without having to second guess yourself. We call that flow. So you can ask yourself this question: what does it mean to really be soulful? What is it to be soulful to you, really? If you had to write it down, think about it, discuss it with other people. Because once you discover what's soulful, what takes you deep, and again, I like to make this distinction, even though in reality there's no distinction. It's just because words make you think like we're different. But when we talk about spirit, to me, that means all the fiery things that get you straight as an arrow toward the goal. Nothing gets in your way. Nothing obstructs you. It's so clear. You burn everything up. Everything, unlike love, gets burned aside in the intensity of your one-pointedness. That's spiritual teaching. But soul, and also remember, it takes you to the invisible, to the intangible, to the thing that has no form. But soul is the medium that connects what is no thing to something that is a thing. And soul doesn't ascend like spirit does. Soul descends. Soul loves getting involved in stuff, loves the murky maze, loves the drama, up to your elbows in all the human stuff that you watch in sitcoms. Tune in tomorrow and see how it is. Oh, soul loves that. Meandering about in the dark, in the watery places where it's not clear. It loves that. If you get soulful, because remember, at a certain level, depth and height are the same. Carl Jung says, go deep enough into your soul, it turns into the world. So in a strange way, the more you seek what you think is isolating your own self, the more you find the interconnectedness between yourself and everything else going on, which is why I always say relationship is the yoga of the West. To be means to be related. And instead of taking the wrong understanding of renunciate philosophy from Eastern teachings and think you have to go away and be a recluse or get away from everybody else, yeah, just in your meditation. And maybe if you go on retreat, a weekend retreat, or a week-long meditation, or a 10-day meditation, God forbid you should go away for a month or 6 months. And oh, who would do that, right? But periodically, go away, fine. But then you come back into relationship, like all the hero and shero journeys, right? If you get anything by descending into those other worlds, you bring it back and reincorporate to your society. So if you go deep enough into your soul, you will find that your own DNA has plenty of this stuff and plenty left over for other people too. So if you're a late bloomer, don't give up. Maybe you're an early bloomer and didn't realize it because nobody taught you how to look at what you did as part of your spiritual unfolding. That's why I'm always saying, learn code, learn symbols, metaphor, fairy tales, dreams, mythology, literature, anything with a subtext, anything that makes you think below or beyond just a literal meaning of it. because then you'll take all these teachings and you'll psychologize yourself. You'll look back at the timeline of your own life experiences. You'll see little vignettes that have happened over your life, and you'll say, I didn't realize that was initiation at the time. I didn't realize that the rupture of the status quo at that point in my life was like getting a guru teaching me a mantra. And if you remember what the grandmas were saying, go back and honor a lot of those things. And you realize, wow, I missed over those things because I closed the files on them a long time ago. Yeah, like you closed the files on religious awe once you found out Santa wasn't real. Once the mythological world collapsed for you as a child, you stopped your inquiry. That's on you. Who told you to stop the inquiry? Who told you that the mystic awe that you were experiencing wasn't a wonder to be kept going your whole life? Who did that to you? That's close to the same severing voice you got to look at. All right, now let's expand this beyond. I'm getting to yoga, don't worry. Let's expand this beyond. Anybody that's not in a global mindset. Right? I was the post-World War II generation. We all came in with Neptune and Libra. Anybody who doesn't understand astrological symbolism, I can't take the time to explain everything to you. It's a whole generation of people born with the understanding of the mindset of planetary awareness. Right? We all came in 20, 25 years before the first shot of Earthrise from the moon. So we already had the mindset of world ambassadors. And we also had the liberal education before things happened in this country. Like, I cannot imagine what's going on. Every time I watch Jay Leno's old time, Jay's All Stars, remember his show? He used to go out in the street and ask people questions like, when was the War of 1812? 1837? Where's the Great Wall of China built? Scotland, something, what? We understood something from having received the legacy bequeathed to us by everything that came before in human history up to that time. And this is before computers. This is before the internet superhighway, where the amount of knowledge profoundly and quantitatively increased and has continued to do so exponentially. No one's prepared for this future shock, but we were the first ones to see this and the first ones to rail against the shadow of the United States, which was tough to do because after post-World II, the United States was very heady. It was easy to see we saved the world. And with the Marshall Plans, we also regenerated all those cultures that we trashed. And we made money doing it. And then the imperialism of the United States really started coming out. All right. So the global mind is an understanding that, number one, fundamental changes come from people changing their mind. Nothing is so profound as an idea whose time has come. The only reason why things persist is because people give them legitimacy. It's the perceived legitimacy that keeps things in place. Withdraw your legitimacy from it and it falls apart. Do you know that money is totally bogus? Money is an example of millions, hundreds of millions of people all over the world hypnotizing themselves to say, we put legitimacy into this piece of paper, because behind this piece of paper is what? Is gold, right? From the US bank or the Euro standard or whatever, right? Really, that's it? Well, everybody else does it, so I do it too, right? Yeah, see what happens if you don't believe in money. See how far you get. Go ahead. It's a fiction. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Yeah. That's a small example. But we are all experiencing a certain kind of hypnotism that legitimizes certain things that we know go against our nature. And yet because everybody else does it, we're like lemmings. We go along too. So this is really saying that the only limitations are the one you believe in. And so, for instance, right now, if you don't believe that peace is more powerful than war, right there, you're legitimizing war. And if you believe, as those of humanists do, that one individual can make a difference and change in their own life, well, then can collective individuals make a change? Yeah, but if more people believe in war than in peace, then we still have the idea that legitimizes that's a good option. Yeah. So I understand that awareness of change, both at a local and global level, is both impending and threatening. But we're not saying you should either resist the change that's inevitable nor zealously foment the change prematurely. Timing is important. But I would say that's probably the most important thing that was discovered in the 20th century. Consciousness as the causal agent. Now, the thing that you have to understand that science and spirituality have with one another, and I'm making distinguish between spirituality and religion, and not just that Carl Jung says organized religion is a way of preventing religious experience, but religion gives you a deal, and you buy into the deal because you got mental fat. I'm not talking about your quarantine 15. I'm choosing not to look at that right now. Right? I'm talking about the mental fat. I don't want to be disturbed. I don't want to have to question. Can somebody give me the answer? Can somebody explain it to me? Can somebody save me the trouble of having to figure it out on my own? Because you want someone else to tell you what the significance of life is, don't you? Is that what you want? Yeah. So you buy the deal. But science and spirituality is different, because in spirituality, you break the trance, you transgress, you go on the search, you go on the quest, even though it means that I don't know what I'm looking for. I just don't know. I just know that what I've been spoon-fed don't fit, ain't for me, can't do it, no way. So off I go, looking for some deeper truth. And remember, the ancient search for truth and the modern search for answering the question, who am I? Same thing. Now, why is spirituality like science? Because they're both supposed to be self-transcending truths. If you're starting off on the quest and admitting you don't know, unlike the philosopher Krishnamurti that says, when thinking begins from conclusion, no investigation is possible. And remember, religion, you don't have to investigate. They're going to tell you what it is. They give you the narrative. But when you're on the quest, I don't know, I'm seeking. It could be this, it could be that. I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to find out. Remember, good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. So you got to get out there and realize that was wrong. Wrong person, wrong food, wrong environment, wrong job, wrong way of dealing with another person. And then you start fine-tuning, course-correcting. Just like science, which does not claim to have an absolute truth currently. It says this is the best of what we know based on our empirical studies. And you know what? We're always doing new studies because we can find a better way of explaining what we currently know. We're going to jettison the old way, and we're going to adopt the new way as the most current working hypothesis, knowing full well that in our future, if we come up with new information, we have no allegiance whatsoever to the old. Right? People didn't want to hear Copernicus say, hey, buddy, the sun doesn't revolve around the earth. The earth is heliocentric. What? They wanted to kill him. Then Galileo came around. Hey, I got news for you. Check out this telescope. Jupiter has moons around it. What? Sometimes even the current generation of scientists, if they have allegiance to the past, they have to die out so the next group can come on. They're not attached to the old way. That's what science and spirituality have together. They're both self-transcending truths, committed to finding out through direct experience what's going on by checking out what's in front of me and doing some kind of testing, right? Turning up the Bunsen burner, so to speak, exciting the experiment, finding out what happens when I put some pressure under myself, which is called tapas. And then being willing to give up your attachment to the old way. So that means the ultimate authority resides in your observation and your experimentation rather than in a tradition. Can they both kind of go hand in hand? Yeah, I always ask my rabbi, how can you still teach Judaism when now there's no more temple, there's no more sacrifices, there are women rabbis, there's gay and lesbian congregations, which is totally against what some people interpret, against the Bible. How can you live that way? He says, you have to understand, look at a tree. A tree, when it grows, produces new rings, right? You've ever seen that you have a cross cut of the tree? And based on those rings, you can tell how old the tree is. Well, the latest ring, which is the newest edge of growth, doesn't exist by itself. It exists only because it's still connected to the center ring of the tree. And that's the relationship between tradition and what bounces off tradition and seems to take it to a fringe of something almost unrecognizable compared to the old way. It's a metaphor. Anyway, we all have these tacit assumptions that have been given to us by our culture, by our family, by religious tradition and politics. And first you have to see through that being your paradigm, that being the way that you give value to what you think is going on in life and what you're supposed to do. And so once you understand that these things are not supposed to be formulated, or if they were formulated once, it's time to break through and go to some other level. So now I'm going to turn to yoga. The first thing I want you to remember, I don't care what's going on in your life. Take a step, no matter how small. Can you repeat that mantra to yourself? I take a step, no matter how small. Maybe it's eating a piece of chocolate every night to feel good and get a sugar rush. Ooh. Maybe it's listening to a comedy thing or dancing. Just do one thing really small. Or I enjoy a cup of tea or coffee out on the porch at sundown. It doesn't matter. It can be inane. It doesn't matter. Take a small step, no matter how small, and begin this. Now, those of you who studied yoga know that yoga says a number of things. First, there's things you can do, which are called sankalpas, or intentions. Remember, intentions in yoga are not wishy-washy. Remember the grandmother said, honor vows, honor vows. You make a commitment to something and then you find out, are you good to your word? Do you mean what you say? Do you walk your talk? Do you do what you say you want to do? And the more you do that, the more you get confidence and self-esteem. The more you're aligned with your own integrity. You become so much more accountable to your actions, not only just to yourself, but to other people. You want your word to be your bond. That people want you in your life because you're trustworthy, you're direct, you're clear, you walk your talk, and you don't ask them, you don't proselytize to them. You let them be who they are. So the things that you can do, and this is all tapas, this is all separate from what you do on the mat. And of course, it goes without saying, is it expected for you to do mat work on an ongoing basis? You have to ask. So things that you can do that are catalysts for your growth is change your diet. You know, it's amazing with all the stuff that's gone out by doctors about the pandemic. The one thing you rarely hear them talk about is how much your diet can affect your immune system. What? They don't talk about that like that's scientific fact? Change your diet. All right. How about volunteer work? Stop being so self-centered. That's one of the ways that you get depressed. You isolate yourself and you think it's all about me. Go help somebody else. See what that does to lifting your spirit. And I don't only mean just by being in environments with people who are really having difficult times. So like you're going to the food kitchen, you're helping a homeless person or a shut-in person like that. That's beautiful. Do that. But volunteer in any way. Help another person. Right? Stop and take a deep breath. Separate from pranayama, just wherever you are, stop. Breathe in and breathe out. We're going to do some breathing a little bit. See how that affects your own physiology. It's so important. In yoga, they call it pratipraksha bhavana, to change the mental state you're in by going to the opposite state. Once you realize you're in a funk, what can you do to shift yourself to what the opposite of funk is? Maintain a student-teacher relationship. Not only just with your yoga teacher, but who are your mentors? Who are the people you look up to? Who are the people you admire? Who are the people who have your back? Keep connected to them. Or connect to the community. What do you do with other people shoulder to shoulder? How do you show your solidarity with like-minded birds of a feather? I don't care if it's the Book of the Month Club or the local community thing that goes and changes empty plots of land into community garden, or whatever you do, it doesn't matter. Just do something with other people. These are all actions that strengthen your immune system and has nothing to do with actually being on the yoga mat, which is, of course, the best way to do it. Then we said attitude of gratitude. Be thankful for everything that happens in your life. If you learn how to do that, not only as bookends during your day, but you will realize that you can turn bad breaks into advantages, where other people will only see disadvantages. Sing, dance, chant. Treat your body well, not only with diet. Take a bath, get a massage. If you're not ready to get a massage by a person, get a Theracane and wing yourself to do something. There's rub oil on your feet, put argan oil on your face, I don't know. And then forgive. If you would ask me the one way to carry love around in your heart, I would ask you, isn't there a lot to forgive in the world? Can I see a nodding of faces there? Is there a lot to forgive in the world? Yeah. And I'm not only just talking about forgiving ourselves for things that we know we could do better than, and not holding that against us. Love begins at home. Physician, heal thyself. But other people, right? In their own eyes, they're holding so much guilt, so much shame. And we have the power to look at other people and say, you're too hard on yourself, buddy. Lighten up. Or especially if they perpetrate it on us, and remember, forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. I forgive you. You can lighten another person's burden for their life by giving a little forgiveness. And once we all know the world needs so much forgiveness, this is a kind of generosity of the spirit, because all of you said it's true, right? Well, there it is. Be a walking embodiment of forgiveness for people you meet. Be walking around like your mission, like you're an ambassador, that you've been given this particular assignment for the rest of your life, to be open to every single person you're meeting, looking for that place where, like, is this the person who needs to be forgiven? Because if they do, I'm the right person to be with, because I get it. I don't even care what the issue is. Just let it go. Don't do that to yourself, because you have other gifts that the world needs. And if you could be forgiven or ask for forgiveness or forgive yourself, you could shine that on, and then you could do the same thing for other people. So once you realize toxic emotion, holding it in or putting it out, depletes your immune system, then you give up the whole idea of what I call avenging and revenging. Avenging and revenging. I'm not interested in dealing out any more shit to anybody ever again. Insofar as it's up to me, I'm going to be the most peaceful, open, loving, lighthearted, joyful, celebrating, welcoming person I can be, if it's up to me. It isn't always up to me, and then I have a game face. Then I have to protect myself or protect my loved ones. But if it's up to me, I get the choice. That's what I'm going to put out. All right, so that's all just things. That's just an example of things you can do. That's all tapas. Don't think that tapas means, I get up 5:30 every morning and I do an hour of yoga, an hour of chanting, and then no, that's too literal. Yoga, you have to revision yoga and make it much more luxuriant than just the literal teachings from the East. Yes, by all means, study yama and niyama, do the asana, do the pranayama, do the relaxation, absolutely, do devotion, but go beyond that. Embody it in your daily life. It's a lifestyle ultimately, isn't it? And you got to roll your own. So besides tapas, what did yoga say? Yoga says also swadhyaya, study. It's a key element to spiritual growth. Study is another way that you go into what I call your heart cave, the place that takes you into what you really love, to where your passion really lies. If you have no passion, you have no compassion. And since service is an integral part of being a yoga practitioner, you want to give as much as you can, to as many as you can, for as long as you can, in all different ways. So once you learn to commune with the things that you love, the things that bring you pleasure, bring you joy, that naturally exudes from you, right? We say the vitality of a vital person vitalizes. So what are you into? What turns you on? That's called your dharma, your svadharma. What is your path? And if you haven't discovered your path yet, then use yoga to quiet your mind and open your heart so you can hear the next message that comes from inside yourself and fine tune. And then that gets into what I call, you have to look at the karma that you've created from previous choices that were unconscious and had unintended consequences, to now making other choices whose net effect isn't limitation, pain, and suffering, but freedom, lightness, happiness. And then you continue through your study, right? You become what you study, you could say, because study is a kind of practice. So that means you end up changing your own behaviors and attitudes, right? You stop pointing fingers at other people and tell them they should change. I got enough on my plate. I don't need to tell other people what to do. Or it says in the Gospels, right? Take the mote out of your own eye, right? Instead of telling the brother to take the log out of their eye. You know, you got stuff in your own eye preventing you from seeing. Who made you cop of the world, straightening everybody else out? Or as Ramakrishna says, the person bound hand and foot can't free another. First, get yourself into a better place. Then you can pontificate to other people. So study is another way of saying I'm actively involved in my own personal health care, which of course, going on the mat, that's one way for sure. But also just in the classical ways, studying the scriptures, studying the sacred texts, give you any information that expands your borders and horizons. And remember, when you study this, I'm also saying study psychology, because it only takes a little bit of inquiry before you realize every single adversity, every single challenge, every single thing that's debilitated you or weakened you or enfeebled you or whatever, they all have lessons to take away from, to take with you. That things that we've experienced in our path have made us stronger once you're willing to stop resisting, because that's part of life. They come your way, not because you're bad, not because you did it wrong, not because you deserve it, but welcome to life. No one can inoculate you against this. All I can do is remind you, like my rabbi says, is evil stronger than good? No, but it's stronger than naivete. So you have to learn to be optimistic without naivete. Then you can be stronger than anything you have to face. So study makes you see these broader perspectives, what's going on in the world in terms of what the liberalism has taught us, that we have to help everybody because there's no peace without justice and it's a long path, so get patient. And humanism has taught it that it's up to each one of us. And can we connect to each other and do this as a collective as well? Both things are simultaneous. You work on yourself and you collaborate with others. So if you're going to be inspired through your study to continue to connect to the things that you feel are valuable and important and significant in your life, and remember, the familiar is not the field of significant action. So that's why I'm always pushing you to get to the edge, find the frontier, get outside your comfort zone, because that's where the growth really is. It always leads you to Ishvara Pranidhan, the third step in Kriya Yoga. Of course, you're supposed to do the actions. Of course, you're supposed to study, but you know, it's a long path. And if your ego wants to spend that amount of time going at the pace that you go at, which is usually slow, nobody skyrockets to this. It's tedious, monotonous work. At least asana has variety. Pranayama gets more tedious, and then the more you just sit in silence, my God, is this boring. You can hear the paint dry or the grass grow. Nothing is happening, absolutely nothing. Why do they say meditation is so great? Because you're still looking for something else. You still don't understand what meditation is supposed to be, which is just sharpening your ability to pay attention to the moment as the moments change. and flow with that until you have a breakthrough. And remember, anything meaningful is ongoing. It ain't finished. So, one of my fun, crazy things to say to people, who do I want to ask? Oh, I want to ask Kylie Halpern out there. She's going to answer for everybody. Kylie, you're doing everybody's work. Kylie, sweetheart, last night when you fell asleep, did you fall asleep on an inhale or an exhale?
What? This is exhale. I don't know. Exhale.
Okay. She doesn't know, right? Okay, she's guessing. This morning when you woke up, before you said how grateful you are to be alive, did you wake up on an inhale or an exhale?
Inhale.
I can see by the laughter on the face, she's just chucking out answers out there. She has no
I
idea.
have no idea. I mean, this is.
Thank you. So that's the point. You know how long this is how you'll know when you don't need to study with me anymore. When you know consciously that you fell asleep on an inhale or an exhale, and you know consciously you woke up on an inhale or exhale, then I will say to you, when you can take the remote from my hand, you can watch any station you want. Okay, so that's what's going on. Anyhow, so do a lot of actions outside of the yoga mat. That's your yoga tapas. Continue to study, whether it's the sacred texts of yoga or anything that involves your passion and gets you enthusiastic, curious, and on fire to want to learn, because that kind of ambition is what gets you interested in life. Makes you get up in the morning and not have enough time to do everything you see before you because there's so much. And if you honor it all, your whole life is filled with beauty. And then, of course, surrender. Because in the end, your ego is going to take a very long time to do it. And if you want to postpone, just like trash talking behind your back, go ahead and do it if you want to. But they're telling you the quickest way is to give up. Give in. Surrender to the deity. Surrender to the spirit, higher consciousness. You don't even have to have a word to who am I surrendering? What am I surrendering? You're giving up, holding on, trying to figure it all out for yourself. It can't be done. And the freedom that comes from surrendering and giving up is what enables you to come back into the incarnation and continue all the things you were doing before, but in a very different spirit. You're coming from a very different place because you're a surrendered being. It's like the secret to me and my marriage. It consists of 2 words. You win. Solves all the arguments right there. I'm happy. Doesn't it say in the Bible, not my will, but thy will? So get with it. You win. Who wants to fight? I'm not playing any games. I know who I'm going home with tonight. You win. That's it. There's no need to argue. No need to raise my voice. It's a house of love and peace. Let other people skirmish. Don't strike. They strike you on one cheek. Let them strike you 70 unto 7 times. Jesus says. Have some humility. Let them point out your mistakes and laugh. Anyhow, so surrender is the quickest way to do it, friends. And I hope you understand that aspect, and that will help you. And now, as my teacher would say, he's talking. When is he going to give some technique? He never teaches. He just talks, blows smoke. He's all smoke and no fire. Okay, Mr. Anger. We already factored this in. We're getting an extra 15 minutes. So I can do that and we can still have time for the asana practice. But as you know, that's what yoga says. I don't care whether you believe the philosophy or not. The important thing is if you do the practice, you have an embodied understanding. The biology of hope, the neurochemistry, the neurotransmitters in your own brain will be fired in such a way where you suppress all that cortisol and all those stress chemicals, and you'll fire the anterior hypothalamus and what they call the reticular activating system that'll shut down the sympathetic nervous system that makes you always on go, rajasic, hyperkinetic, hypervigilant, producing all the time, no time for relaxing, can never recover. You can never hit the reset button. Slow down. I understand. You've been working a long time to get it right, and you deserve praise for that. And it's taken its toll. I get that. I'm with you in the trenches like everybody else. You deserve a break. And yoga is always suggesting you'll be more productive if you take a break. Even though the reason why you're taking a break is to not be so productive, but you'll be more productive if you take a break. Because you'll be more focused, you'll be more concentrated. You'll be more discriminating between knowing what you really should put your energy in and what's bogus. Jettison that, forget that, scuttle that, don't do that. And then little by little, all those other choices about your diet, your environment, hanging with your teacher, hanging with the community, doing self-health care, all the things I said, they all become the lifestyle that bolsters your immune system. And then most important, and don't forget a little plug, go to my website, and all my affirmations are free, because this is really nothing but psychoneuronal immunology, PNI, the phrase that was coined in the 80s when the scientists finally discovered that every immune system cell has receptor cells in every one of the nerve cells. And the nerve cells, of course, are nothing but the brain, extended throughout the whole body. So when you think something, the nerves in your brain connect to the neurological system right into the immune system. So your thoughts are constantly making your immune system either stronger or weaker. So affirmation is, what are you telling yourself? Do you recognize the thoughts that send you down the rabbit hole, as opposed to the ones that are like the mantras that you want to chant and raise your vibration to that? I don't want you to learn my affirmations by heart like you would a Shakespeare sonnet. I want you to go there and pick a subject and see 2 or 3 lines that go together. So, oh, I like that. Ooh, that has a resonation for me. It rings true for me. And then make up your own. What's the bed you want to lie in? Find out how you say to yourself. Self-talk. What makes sense to you? What raises your vibration? What do you align with? What's the best, the highest you can come up with? And then you'll see it's auto-suggesting. It starts working in its own way. You don't need to read Louise Hay's book. And I'm giving it away for free. Giving it away for free. All right. So before my guru actually has to come out of the grave and appear to me in an astral vision and say, will you start teaching them something already? We are now going to spotlight Tracy. And Nancy, did you respond to the possibility of being a...
It's Aaron J tonight, Gabriel.
All right, never mind. Hi, Aaron J. Good to see you. Another time, though. Okay, fine. So we're going to spotlight Tracy for most of the class. And then when we get to the inversion part, Tracy's did something to her neck. So we're not going to ask her to put any pressure on her neck, so that we'll have a different demonstration. We'll have 2 variations for that. All right. So let's begin first by sitting up into any kind of a meditative posture. Cross your legs. And place your hands at the root of your thigh and lift your spine up. Now, obviously, from the yoga point of view, you have 2 nostrils, and each nostril is connected to the opposite brain hemisphere. So, again, basic science here. When you breathe through your right nostril, you turn on your left hemisphere. So right nostril breathing is sometimes called solar breathing. It's the hot channel, and it really stimulates the more rational part of yourself, the more linear thinking part of yourself, the more one at a time thinking part of yourself. And that's good. It's important to have that energy available. But the left nostril deals with the right hemisphere. And that's sometimes referred to as the lunar channel, the moon channel, or the Ta channel. And that deals with the part of your brain. It turns on the part of your brain that thinks in wholes. WHOLES, right? It sees the big picture. It connects to the broader perspective that the details within the picture can be seen. So you have to determine for yourself whether or not the way you're dealing with your nervous system and therefore your immune system is one that needs to be calmed down because you're frenetic and nervous and uncertain, or maybe you're deflated, weak, depressed from having no energy. Could be both. Then you're manic. We're only going to do left nostril breathing today. And I'm going to give you 4 or 5 different very, very simple techniques So you can experience right now what it is at the drop of a hat to switch your nervous system, to change your consciousness. It only takes a minute or two. So let's do it. In order to breathe through your left nostril, you're going to make a fist with your right hand and extend your right index finger. So I'm doing this the same way you are. I'm not a mirror image for you. If I was a mirror image for you, I'd be doing this, right? So don't get confused. So now, with the pad of your right index finger, gently blocking off the right nostril, breathe in through your open left nostril quietly. Then relax your hand and breathe out through both nostrils quietly. 3 times. Block the right nostril and breathe in more delicately through the left nostril, like you can barely feel it entering. Then gently relax your hand and breathe through both nostrils quietly, as noiselessly as you can. 3rd cycle, block the right, open the left, quiet, easy, slow breath, but fill to the brim without forcing. Then gently relax your hand and exhale the breath, equally rarefied. So you're feeling like you're dropping into a pensive mood. And now just feel what you've created over the next few quiet breaths from a simple in left, out right, out both nostrils. Now the 2nd cycle, you're going to use your index finger and your thumb, and you're going to once again block the right nostril with the thumb and breathe through the inhale, open left nostril. Then you're going to block the left nostril with the index, lift your right thumb, and exhale through the right nostril. And a 2nd time. Block right, inhale left, quiet as can be. Then block left, exhale right. And a 3rd time without interruption, inhale left. And gently exhale right. Relax the hand and just feel what you've done. Now remember, in pranayama, the ayama part has to do with restraining and extending the time that it takes for the breath to enter or exit the body. So the way we're going to elongate the breath now is this time we're going to do it with me, block the right, narrow the left nostril, partially closing it, and breathe through the narrowed left nostril. Then block the left, partially close the right, and breathe through the right nostril. Drop the hand and take 1 free breath. As the exhale leaves your body, raise your hand and once again block the right, inhale through the narrowed left nostril. Then block the left and exhale through the narrowed right nostril. Drop your hand and take a restorative breath. And now the 3rd cycle, raise your hand, block the right, narrow the left and breathe in. And then block the left, narrow the right and exhale. And drop the hand and again, gentle restorative breathing. All right. Take a deep inhale, deep exhale, break your reverie. All right, so that's just a few minutes of easy breathing with a couple of variations that you could do, predominantly left nostril breathing. You can feel the change in your nervous system right away. Your brain waves start changing into the alpha, delta, or theta state. So take advantage of something. It's so simple, doesn't require a lot of time. You learn about yourself, how to focus your attention, and so forth. All right, so now let's pin Stacy as our main person in our.
Stacy, Gabriel.
Stacy is the same as Tracy, but with an S.
I don't think so, buddy.
Let's see Tracy. All right, so everybody get a bolster or a couple of blankets, and let me know if you don't have the prop that we are suggesting. Let me know. Now, Joan, give me some feedback here. Right now, can you see Tracy highlighted?
No, you're still the biggest.
Okay,
Should we go to, okay, yes, yes.
Okay, now wait 1 second. Now, if I hit gallery view, can you still see her highlighted?
Yes, that's
Okay,
better.
great, we're great. Okay, good. So let's start off with Tracy, everybody. So she's gonna have a bolster, right? And she's gonna show you how to do Sukta Sukhasana, reclining easy pose. So she first puts the bolster spine-wise from her waistline toward her head. And she's also going to get an extra blanket as a pillow so her head can be higher than her chest. Notice that she puts the closed edge of the blanket towards her head. Wait, sit up for a second. And before she goes, she's going to lift her buttock flesh and then puff her chest so she enters into a back bend. And once she's down, she scoops her tush away from her waistline again. And then she's going to bend her legs at the knees into crisscross position called Sukhasana, bringing the feet forward close towards the knees. And if you find that there's some uncomfortableness in the way your thighs are, you can always put some blankets between your thigh and your shin to relax yourself. But if you're comfortable here, that's great. Then she's going to put her hands palms face up in line with her lower outer costal cartilages. And then one last thing, just watch the way she presses her shoulders down and puffs her chest up. All right, so everybody, assume the position. Don't forget to lift your buttock flesh. Once you go down, pull it away from the tailbone. Eileen, can you drop your camera so I can see your head better? And same thing for Anita Meredith. I can't see your head at all. And Mimi, you're okay, but it's really dark, so it's really hard to see you there. All right, now don't forget, the shoulder sockets drop down, the shoulder blades gently pull up, and it's if you're lifting your rib cage out of the waistline toward your head, while your shoulders drop down away from your neck toward your waistline. So it's almost like two-way traffic. Like the rib cage is helping the anterior body lift from bottom to top, but the shoulder blades are dropping down in the back body from top to bottom. Soften your gaze and look with your eyes directly toward the ceiling above you. And now in your own way, in your own pace, slowly start the breath rhythm, easy, soft, noiseless. Feel as if already you've taken the antidote. You've taken the medicine that's going to counteract whatever particular poison you're fighting off in your own anatomy. But of course, it's just a metaphor for how do I do to myself anything that counteracts or neutralizes any unpleasant feeling or situation I'm carrying with me. Now you have to stay a few minutes for the effect to sink in. And especially in every single yoga session, you have to understand your own psychology. And what I mean by that is, just as each person has physically come from a different location, somebody came from Chicago, somebody came from Richmond, somebody came from Barrington Heights, wherever you come from, right? So just physically, when you went to your yoga class, each person came from a different physical location. Everybody understands that, right? But what if I said each person also comes from a different psychological and emotional location? Like when you step into the room, you're bringing with you whatever it was that you were experiencing prior to the class, maybe the last week, the last month, maybe your whole life. So each person needs to find a different way, just like you found a different way physically to get to the studio from where your home was. So each person needs a different kind of teaching to bring them to some kind of neutrality or peacefulness, because what you're carrying with you is different than somebody else. Somebody else has anger issues. Somebody else has fear issues. Somebody else has sadness issues. Somebody else has anxiety issues. Somebody else has financial issues. Not right or wrong. So understand what you're bringing, and then you know what I need to do to neutralize. All right, staying in the pose, inhale, exhale, switch your legs to the opposite side so that you're doing the side that's the second way, because usually you go to the habitual side first, and immediately notice how different it feels. The feet are not the same, the shin is not the same, the knee is not the same, the thigh is not the same, the hip is not the same, the low back is not the same. So give yourself just a few seconds, a few breaths to scan the body now, because even though the chest may be in the same position, the legs are asymmetrical. Maybe that even influenced the chest. How do you find out? Pay attention. Discriminate. Joan, having some trouble with the knees?
My ribs, not my knee.
The ribs? So get rid of the bolster. It's too much. Just lie flat on your back and see if that makes a difference. Now that better? Yeah, okay, good. So always important to modify, because if your body is disturbed, your attention keeps going there. And you don't want your attention to be captured by your own tension. Attention means no tension. All right, one more minute. Keep the shoulder blades dropping down. Shoulder sockets dropping down, shoulder blades lifting up. You have to make constant adjustment because the collapse is so quick. So feel the different mannerisms as you change from posture to posture. And always check your breath. No panic in the breath. If the pose is smooth, the breath will reflect it in a calm rhythm. So don't do anything that disturbs your breath. All right, let's take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together as a group. Breathe in and breathe out. That's good. Breathe in and breathe out. That's good. And a third one. Breathe in and breathe out. That's nice. All right, deeper breath now. Bring your legs together, feet flat on the floor. Take an inhale, take an exhale. Roll to your side. Stay down for a moment. And then take another breath there. And then press your sides and come on up. Very nice. All right, so always take some time to open your chest. It's very good at the beginning of a yoga session. Now, Tracy, do you have your set list there? Did I send it to you?
I think I probably have it in an email, but not in front of me.
All right, fine.
I can pull it up though if you prefer.
Yeah, I got it. I'm just in a temporarily spaced out mode. I got it. thought I had it. Can't find it now.
Okay,
Just take a breath and be calm.
I found it if you need it.
Good. What's the next one?
Next one is Adha Mukta Mini Vin, step into lunge, then Parsavatana, then
I got it.
Trikonasana.
Great. Okay, so here you go. So besides breathing and besides restorative poses that open your chest, everybody still has to step into stuff to do. We're not free from our daily round, from doing our chores, from going to work, or even if it's at home and remotely, going to school or taking the kids to the school or shopping, whatever. You got to strengthen yourself. And one of the easiest ways to strengthen yourself in yoga is to practice a vinyasa, something that causes your energy to have to quicken, something that causes you to step up into some power and not think like, oh, poor me, I got no clout. That's not true. Yoga trains you to be both tender and tough, vulnerable and strong. They're not mutually contradicting. It's just what makes you a human being. So watch Tracy do this quickly first. So we're going to hold her much longer. We're going to hold you much longer, but we're going to show what she's going to do. She's going to start off by doing dog pose, and dog pose is the connector. You'll start in dog. Please, everybody watch, because remember, watching or looking and listening is learning as well as doing. Take your legs further back. I want a deeper stance. Good. Go back further than that. All right. So first is lunge position. You inhale and big step forward with one leg into your 90-degree angle between front thigh and front shin. And you slide the other leg back however much you need to. No. Keep the back foot parallel and drop down all the way, right? You'll see it better when she goes to the other side. No, not that knee. I'm saying drop down the front leg thigh. There you go. And then step back into dog pose. Then you'll step the other leg forward into lunge pose. See, you can see how her front leg thigh is down. She's doing a really good job in getting it down, right? You'll step back. So first you do each one time to each side. So the next one is she steps forward with the front foot and then keeps the back foot where it is, but she pulls her front leg hip all the way straight back and straightens the front knee and stretches the back heel to the floor. Come on, Parsvottanasana. Let's see it. Pull the front hip back and straighten the front knee. All the way. All the way, like that. And bury your head to your shin. And next time, don't shorten your stance to make it easier on yourself. That's not fair. All right, step back to dog pose. And then does the other side. Big step forward with the left leg. Pause. Keep the back foot where it is. And then pull the front hip back and straighten the leg any amount. Drop your head. She walks the arms forward. She does her dog pose there. And then she stretches back. Okay? Then the third one is, now pay attention. The first two, the back foot stayed parallel. In the next one, the back foot has to turn in so she can do triangle pose. So she inhales, she steps forward with the front leg. She turns the back foot in, and then she straightens the front leg again, but now she's facing laterally, and she takes the top arm up, and she spins the chest up into triangle pose. While she stretches the bottom arm down, the top arm goes up. So for every degree you can go to the floor with you, but she stretches the top arm up. And she makes that back leg work. And then she exhales, she turns down, she steps back to dog pose. And now you'll see her backside will be turned to us. She steps forward with the left leg again. She turns the back foot and she steps into triangle pose, checking that the front heel's aligned with the back arch. And for every degree she goes down with the left arm, she stretches even more up with the right arm, higher up with the right arm. All right. And then she turns, she spins around, she goes back to dog pose. All right, so that's breaking it out. Then she's going to do all three, one right after the other. She steps forward into lunge. She pauses right there. She pulls the foot back and she stretches straight there. And then she swings the back foot around, turns around, and finishes triangle on the same side. And then she'll turn around to dog pose and she'll show us on the other side going from one to the other with no break. All right. Then you come down and rest in child's pose. All right. So that's how it is. Let's give you a little mini Vinny and get you strong. Because as you know, in my yoga and beauty tapes for my series, Aging, Yoga, and Inner Radiance, you know how you have to make those promises on all those fitness videos? I guarantee you that you'll have the legs like the alabaster pillars of a Greek god and goddess if you practice my technique. All right, so everybody, let's get into dog pose. Let's take you through it. You don't need any props for this. Carly, are you okay? All right. So first step, right leg, inhale, big step like lunge pose. Come all the way between your hands and get your front leg knee over your front leg ankle so your shin is vertical, and slide your back foot. Keep it parallel to the front. Slide it back so your front leg thigh is really down. That means the top and bottom of your front thigh are parallel to the floor. Exactly. Look up with your head. Look up with your chest. You pull the rib cage forward, but you stretch your back leg calf back. All right. And you're breathing, aren't you? That's good. All right, exhale, step back into dog pose. That's the first side. Let your head go down. Keep breathing. Left side, big step. Inhale. Let's see. Do it. Notice which side is easier to step forward. Back knee lifts up, Nancy. Now, look up with your chest. Now, while you're here, ask yourself, are my two buttock bones equidistant to the wall behind me? I say no. So how do you make your buttocks parallel to the wall behind you? Well, swing your left hip in toward the tailbone and slightly roll your right hip in and down toward the left knee without bending the leg. All right, exhale, up you go, step back to dog pose. All right, that's stage one. Stage two, same thing, except now you're going to straighten the front leg after you step it forward. So inhale, big step forward, right? Keep your left leg where it is. Exhale, pull the right hip back, straighten the right knee, bury your face toward your shin, and walk your arms forward like dog pose any amount you can. Aha. Now, look through your legs to the wall behind you. Be honest now. Are the hips equidistant from the wall behind you, or is one hip forward, one hip back? You know which one is forward. Pull that front hip back. Now turn that back hip down and in, but don't bend the knee when you do. Let your head go, Nancy. Thank you. Stretch the sides of your arms forward. Come on, one of your rib cages is short. Make it longer. All right, exhale, step back into dog pose. Keep breathing. Don't hold your breath. Nothing good comes from holding your breath. Big step left. Come on, do it. Inhale. Pause. Now, pull that hip back. Stretch that leg straight. Bury your face toward your shin and walk your arms forward any amount. You might find that if you put your hands up on a block, Nancy, put your hands up on 2 blocks. Go higher. Take the blocks higher. Now stretch them out. Forward, forward. Stretch the arms. There you go. Keep going, keep going. See, there's a more diagonal line that connects your arms to your trunk. Head in between. Now look between your legs. Are the buttocks equal to distant to the wall behind you? Make it so. Swing the left hip into the tail. Roll the right hip down without bending the leg. It's an internal rotation on the back leg. Turn it in. All right, exhale, step back. Keep breathing. Keep chanting the mantra. Yogis don't panic, yogis don't crumble. Yogis don't panic, yogis don't crumble. All right, get ready to turn the back foot. Big step forward with the front foot. Turn the back foot into the space where the leg just vacated. Now front heel align with back arch. Pull the leg straight. Right hand to the floor. Turn the chest to the ceiling. Left arm stretch up. It's a look up pose, so look at your left hand. The left arm has to be vertical to such a degree that the left armpit and left chest are perpendicular angles to one another. You turn your chest to the ceiling, but you also turn your back leg hip to the ceiling. Turn it up. And keep cutting the right buttock under and forward from the hip socket side to the groin side. That's it. And breathe. All right, exhale. Bend the front knee, turn the chest down, step back to dog. Keep breathing. Next side. Big step forward. Pull the leg back, turn the back foot. Quickly check front heel, back arch line, then up you go. Start breathing. Remember, it's a look-up pose, so turn your head. If your neck doesn't feel good, look either straight ahead or turn your head down. But if you have nothing wrong with your neck, stretch up. Now, once again, just like you did in Supta Sukhasana, pull the rib cage out of the waistline toward the front of your head, but pull the upper back shoulder muscles down off of your neck from top to bottom. Front body move up from bottom to top, back body drop down from top to bottom. Very good. Back leg, turn up to the ceiling even as you turn your chest to the ceiling. Front leg, cut the hip socket forward to the groin side. And breathe. There you go. All right, exhale. Turn down, bend the knee, step back, do dog pose. All right, now get ready. Before you step forward, just listen. We're going to do what we call hit and go. Hit and go. So in hit and go, you inhale, prepare. You exhale, you step forward into the pose. You take a breath when you're there. And then on the next inhale, you prepare. On the next exhale, you go into the next pose. So I'll talk you through it, so you got to listen. Inhale, prepare. With an exhale, step the right leg forward into lunge. Wait there. Take a breath. Inhale and exhale. Now inhale, prepare. With an exhale, pull the hip back and stretch it completely straight. Stretch your arms forward. Stay there for one breath. Now inhale, prepare. With an exhale, turn into triangle pose. And then once you're in the pose, inhale and exhale. Now, go back in reverse. Inhale, exhale, inhale, prepare, exhale. Turn back to Parshvottanasana. Pull the body back and stretch your arms forward. Inhale and exhale while you're here. Then inhale, prepare, exhale, bend into lunge position. Take another breath when you're here. Inhale and exhale. And inhale, prepare, exhale, step back to dog pose. Breathe in, breathe out. Same thing on the other side. Inhale, prepare, exhale, big step with the left leg. Inhale and exhale while you're here. Inhale, prepare, exhale, pull back into Parshvottanasana. Inhale and exhale while you're here. Inhale, prepare, exhale, swing into triangle pose. Inhale and exhale when you hit the final pose. And now reverse. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, turn down into Parshvottanasana. Inhale and exhale while you're here. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, step into lunge. Inhale and exhale while you're here. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, step back into dog pose. Inhale and exhale while you're here. And now gently exhale, come out of the pose and do child's pose. Bend your knees, touch your toe tips together, widen your toes, widen your knees, wide as the mat, stretch your arms forward, and take a couple of restorative breaths here. All right. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, out you go. Good. How are we feeling? You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not done. That's just to awaken the energy. Now, I hope you all have a long belt. If you don't have a long belt, maybe you have 2 short belts. Tie them together. If you don't have any belt, you don't need no stinking belts. Did Mr. Ianno use any belts in light on yoga? Stop being so prop dependent. They always ask me, do you get dependent on props? That's not the props' fault. Stop blaming the props. We're going to do a warrior pose using the belt to help you. And there are 3 warrior poses in yoga. Virabhadra, in case you know your Hindu mythology, there was a demon that was destroying the world, and none of the gods and goddesses had enough power weapons to deal with it. So they went to disturb Shiva. But Shiva doesn't like to be disturbed. He was up in Mount Kailash meditating. And so he couldn't be bothered dealing with a demon. So he just grabbed the lock of his hair, he pulled it out and threw it down on the ground, and it arose as Virabhadra, the demon slayer. So there are 3 positions in the warrior. One is like the advancing warrior, one is the triumphant warrior, and one is the praising warrior. But you need a lot of warrior to practice yoga, to draw good boundaries, to discipline yourself, to know how to not let certain things into your aura. You have to know how to block, to prevent certain energies from osmosing into you. This is where the naivete comes in. Don't be so naive. Trust in Allah, but tie your camel, as they say, right? So, as my teacher would say, I have given you the clue. I am showing you one thing to do with one pose. But if you're smart, the clue is you can do this with every standing pose. Let me say that again. I have given you the clue. Every single standing pose can be done this way once you understand connecting the front leg, top thigh, hip socket into the back foot arch. That's all I need to say. It's up to you to figure it out. You think my teacher told me everything? No, no, no. A small sidebar story. When I got to India, they did Setubandha Sarvangasana like they were selling snake oil. It was ridiculous how many variations. It didn't matter if the person had diabetes, if they were recovering from sclerodoma, if they had a sciatic. It doesn't matter. Everybody did Setubandha. It was bugging me tremendously because every setup was different. And I didn't understand why. So, of course, what do you do when confused? You ask the teacher. Oh, sir, I have noticed that you're setting up Setubandha in so many different ways. Tell me, why do you set it up this way for the immune system and this way for the person with the back pain? So this is exactly like you read in the books. Typical master fashion. Oh, you think I'm going to give you the answer? Teachers create more questions than they do give you answers. So this is like talking to a Jewish person who answers every question with a question, right? Haven't I taught you Setubandha? So I said, oh, you're Jewish? You're giving me a question? Haven't I taught you Setubandha? Yes, sir, you have. Well, then you know the base of the pose, don't you? Yes, sir, I do. Well, then why don't you set yourself up just like you've seen all the other people set up and find out what it does to you by staying there 20 minutes? Not the answer I wanted to hear. But that's when I had mental fat. That's when I didn't want to be disturbed by questions and uncertainty and complexity and ambiguity, which is what the teacher throws right back in your face. Oh, you thought the teachers would make everything nice for you and calm the waves? What naive world have you been living in? That's the same world where you want someone else to tell you what the significance of life is. So let me remind you again. You know what the negative significance of life is. So I don't have to ask you what that is. You're really asking, what is the positive significance of life? Well, again, who's going to show you that? You, by finding out what turns me on, what makes me glad to be alive at all. That's it. Don't look to anybody else. Your heart tells you. All right, so watch. Don't call her Stacy. That gets her pissed off. Her name is Tracy. She's going to step through the belt with her right leg, And she's going to put it all the way to the top of her right thigh. And then she'll step her left leg through the belt and put it at her arch. And she keeps a very, very long belt, and she tightens it so she can have the tail near her. She has her front heel aligned with her back arch. The basic stands for Warrior 2. And she tightens it so it gives her resistance strongly into the back foot arch, and she can really drop some weight deep into the front leg thigh. But what most students do is they don't drop down, stay there for a second there, they don't drop down far enough. Do you remember how low she was when she did the lunge position? Right? You saw from the side, she really had that front leg, bent leg hip down. Now you can see her front leg hip is high. So she has to open the belt a little bit, slide the back foot just a little bit down, and still keep it tight so she can really hang all of the weight. I mean, hang the weight. Or as we used to say, you go, girl, hang that weight. There you go. Now she's, drop it and push into the back leg. Her front leg knee, her front leg buttock bone pushes to the front leg knee. But her back leg buttock bone pushes to the back leg heel. Then she spreads her pelvic floor. Then she looks to her right hand, but she stretches with her left hand. Her chest has to turn slightly back to the left. And once again, the front body lifts from bottom to top. The back body drops down from top to bottom. And both knees turn outward toward their own pinky toe. Right knee circularizing to right pinky toe, left knee circularizing to left pinky toe. Like that. And now watch her back foot, everybody. Spread your toes, would you? Life is coming to her toes. What was she doing with her toes before? Death. Now she's stretching. All right. Everybody, come on, let's try it. Did you have fun with that?
I loved it.
You loved it. Don't forget to tell your face. Okay, go. Let's everybody go to big loop. Big loop. And if you don't have a belt, just do it without a belt. Right leg is the front leg. Left leg is the back leg. It looks like it's not too long, Carly. Open up the belt as wide as possible. So you can see it's just not long enough to help you really go down all the way. So you got to, in the future, you got to get a bigger belt. All right, so it's right at the top of the right thigh notch, just below the pelvic rim. And then the front heel is aligned with the back arch, basic alignment. That's it, Nancy. So when you bend down, really resist the back foot. The back leg inner arch has to lift up. I call it doming the arch. All right, everybody, drop down. Come on, you're on the timer. 1 minute. 1 minute. Now, bend in. Stretch your arms. Look to the right hand, but don't forget to stretch your left hand. The front of your body lifts up from bottom to top. The back of your body drops down from top to bottom. Diagonally connect the right thumb to the left pinky finger and the left thumb to the right pinky finger. Now, the front leg buttock bone pushes to the front leg knee, but the back leg, left leg buttock bone pushes to the back leg heel. So you spread your pelvic floor. That's it. And twist your chest back to the right, to the left, chest to the left. So you're like Tadasana. Very good. Take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together as a group. Breathe in and breathe out. Don't hold the breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Don't hold the breath. Nancy, twist your chest to the left more. Breathe in and breathe out. All right. Inhale slowly. Come up out of the pose. Very good. Settle up on the other side. Now, every time you do a bilateral comparison, you know already the difference, the discrepancies, the imbalances, the asymmetries. So find out. One side feels like, oh, I can drop down much deeper on this side. Or no, I don't go as far. Use the belt. The belt is to trying to teach you something, to really not be afraid of dropping all the way deep. It's not the knee that bends. That's what we tell raw beginners. It's the hip socket that bends. That's it, Joan. Now, don't forget, roll those knees circularly out. On your front leg knee, turn it out toward the pinky toe. Can you see the index toe? If you can't, turn it out more. On your back leg foot, roll the knee out as well. Same way you turned it up in triangle pose, turn it up and out. And dome the ankle, dome the arch of the back foot to the outer edge. All right, now arms up, 1 minute. Cross connect the stretch from the left thumb to the right pinky and the right pinky to the left thumb. Lift the anterior body up out of the pubis toward the collarbones, but drop the posterior body down from top to bottom. Front from bottom to top, back down from top to bottom. Then turn your chest back toward the backhand side. And now breathe in calmly. Split the buttock bones. Front leg buttock bone moves towards front leg knee. Don't let the back leg move in the same direction. Back leg buttock bone push to back leg heel. Now 3 long, slow, deep breaths while you hold. Inhale and exhale. Yogis don't panic, yogis don't crumble. Inhale and exhale. Hold firm. Stay steady. One pointedness. One more breath. Inhale and exhale. Very good. Come up and out of the pose. Nice. All righty. You made it through. Now, sit down for a second. The rest of the class has to do with basically inversions. So I just want to be reminded for myself so I know who I'm speaking to in the audience here. How many people here are teachers? Hold your hands up so I can see. Okay, fine. So just a thing. Now I'm following the guidelines from my own technique and practice, which is heavily influenced by the Iyengar tradition. So I'm not saying that you should follow this yourself, but I'm just saying I want you to understand my backstory. We were taught that when you're an intense practitioner, let alone a teacher, that 5 inversions are to be done every single day, because this is the healthiest way to prime your immune system. Headstand, shoulder stand, plow pose, bridge pose, and inverted lake. And for those of you who know your Sanskrit, and I hope that all of your teachers are learning your Sanskrit, it's Shirshasana, Sarvangasana, Halasana, Setubandha Sarvangasana, and Viparita Karani. I once had a teacher who could say the names of the poses to Surya Namaskar faster than I can move through the poses. It was ridiculous. Anyway, after a while, you realize that you can't do that for beginners. Beginners don't have enough knowledge and strength to put them on their neck and head right away. You have to build them up with methodology. But you can teach them Setubandha and Viparita Karani, which focuses a lot of blood in the heart and also teaches them the rudiments of having the legs up in the air so gravity can reverse the flow of blood. But because their head and shoulders are already on the floor, and they don't have to flip it up over their head or bear weight on your neck, there are safe inversions. So it gives the student a chance to deal with the fear of what's going to happen if I put weight on my neck when I know I'm not ready for it. What do you don't do that to them? Then they build rapport. So you can train them from day one to do that. Now, here's what I wanted to show. R&J, can you show us classical shoulder stand, please? So for a second, we're gonna unpin Stacy and Tracy, and we're gonna do the spotlight for. So now we can see him. You got to drop your camera because we can't see your blankets.
Do you want me to set it up with blankets on?
Yes, I want you to show me how you practice, but yeah, blankets if you have them.
And Tracy, if you could spotlight the phone, not the Mac.
I see.
Gabriel, you have hosting rights. Can you spotlight Aaron J's phone?
I got to find it first. Okay. Okay, we got it.
Looks
so
good.
Already I'm going to holler at him because that blanket is not up to standard, but we'll let him go. So he has to get further back on it so his shoulders are supported, but his neck is off the blanket. Go further back. Go further back. No, the other way. Keep going till your neck is off the blanket. All right. So if you have the capacity to flip your legs up and over and take them into shoulder stand, go ahead, show everybody. All right. So regardless of how you may look, regardless of how your blankets are, if you can get up like this, even for a minute or two, that's fine. Even though there's so much to criticize about this pose, I don't know where to begin. But we'll let him go down. So it's okay. So if you can do that, however you can, I want you to do that. Okay? Now, thank you very much. Now, for everybody else, let's watch back to Tracy. She's going to do simple setu bandha. She's going to either do 2 blankets end to end, or if you have a bolster or 2 bolsters, whatever you can, but watch how she creates this setup. She makes 2 long rectangles. No, that's not the same shape as the other one, is it?
No, I folded this one like this.
Yeah, that's 2 of them like that, end to end. So basically, standard fold, which is widthwise, 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 and then lengthwise. So you end up with 2 blankets like she's showing you, and she's going to stack them end to end, not on top of each other, but next to each other on the mat. Right. Now that's kind of small, but it's okay. You know, it's not that long, high in height, but it's okay for now. This is why bolsters would be better. And then she's gonna have a block at the end of that for her feet if she needs it. We'll see. And then she's gonna straddle the blankets and lie down. And she's gonna slide back and drop her head off the blanket, shoulders on it. You don't need the roll now, dear. Get that away. She has to come back all the way till her shoulders are on the floor. Keep going more. So this is modified setu bandha, you see? And then she has her feet up on the block. That's really helpful to take the curve out of your lumbar so your low back won't ache. And she's going to elongate her buttocks and legs toward her heels and lengthen them, but she's going to lift her rib cage again and pull it away from the waist towards her head. And the shoulders go down and the shoulder blades go up. Same thing like the beginning of the class. Have your hands closer to the side of your ribs, dear. There you go. Right. Now, if for any reason the back still aches, watch her turn the block up on the second level. Look how skillfully she uses her feet. So just that extra height decreases the lumbar curve. That might feel better. So if you can do the classical shoulder stand with your legs up in the air, do it. If you're not comfortable with that, or you don't have enough blankets, don't hurt your neck now. Do setu bandha the way she is. Come on, everybody set it up.
Can I do a share shoulder stand?
You can, sure, if you want to. Go ahead. So RJ, we got to get you some better blankets. Is there like a Hindu Santa for Diwali? No, there's no like Hindu Santa that you ask for Diwali. I need some new yoga blankets for Diwali. No?
Oh.
All right, so for those of you who are going up in shoulder stand, hold it for as long as you comfortably can. Come down when it feels the best. It's always nice to be able to come down as if your nervous system could continue. Now, Anne, you have to go further back so your shoulders are on the floor, not on the blankets. Keep going.
Oh.
That's good. Cassie, stretch your legs away from your face. Same thing, Carly, get more vertical. Same thing, Jill. This is the problem when you don't have blankets. You can't get high enough on your shoulders.
She's got blankets.
Who says that? Who's saying that?
Tracy. She's
To
got
who?
two more, to you. She's got two more blankets she could use. I'm showing you her, Jill right now in a different view.
Get extra blankets, good. Go up. Nancy, you're in Setubanda? Okay, good.
Jill, do you see, Gabriel, should Jill's shoulders be back more?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the shoulders have to be on the edge.
So they have to be on the mat.
Right. No. If you're doing shoulder stand, the shoulders are on the blankets. If you're doing
Okay.
Setubanda, your shoulders are on the floor.
Okay. So just at the edge of your blanket.
That's it. Now join your legs together, whether they're in Setubanda or Sarvanasana. Don't have the legs apart. And remember, those people who are doing Setubanda, shoulder sockets down, shoulder blades up. Rochelle, turn your blankets to the side so I can see what it looks like from the side instead of me looking at it from the feet angle. Now notice in Setubanda, tremendous amount of blood coagulates right there in the chest. You got to get your hands deeper in your back, Kylie O'Halloran, and stretch your legs straight. You're hanging into plow pose. Your legs are not supposed to go over like pike position. Stretch up and hold steady. Don't waver. Now that ain't gonna happen that way. Turn the closed edge towards your, no. Don't make the blanket so short, Rochelle. You need more room for your elbows. Turn the blanket around so the fringe edge is close to you. Okay, good. Good. Now lie back on it. Lie that width. Get your shoulders right to the edge. Right there. Now flip up from there. That's better. All right. 30 more seconds. Stretch up. Join your legs. All right, regardless of where you are, take 3 breaths together. Inhale and exhale. Don't be in a hurry to come out. Inhale and exhale. One more time, inhale and exhale. All right, slowly come down. Quickly sit in cross-legged posture and just give yourself a twist from side to side. So reach over to one knee and bend the elbow and pull yourself across to that side. Take a breath there. And pull yourself across to the other side. Take a breath there. Come back to the center. Switch your legs and do the same thing again. Crisscross the legs, but now twist again to one side. And then turn your head opposite the twist. See what it does for your neck. Front body up, back body down. Good. Come back to the center. Take a breath there. Then go to the other side and breathe. Turn your head opposite the twist. And gently out you go. All right, everybody on your back. If you have a block, put the block underneath your pelvis and stretch your legs up into the air. Viparita Karani using a block. Have the block on its lowest edge if you're tight, on its second edge if you're clear about your balance. And some of you that have good skillful level, take your feet all the way up on the block on the highest height. Now, if holding the legs straight up is difficult for you, you can always put a belt around the feet and hold it with your hands. That'll give you more stability. But if you can hold your legs up without a belt, that's fine. And join your inner leg. And if you're not holding the block, once again, shoulder sockets press down, shoulder blades lift up. Join your legs together and find the center seam. Ball mounts together, heels together, knees together. Squeeze the hips together. Make the front of your thighs turn toward each other, narrower. Make the back of your thighs, the one that's away from your face, broader. But don't take the legs away from each other when you do that. Neutral chin position. Not tucked, not lifted up. In between. Now close your eyes and be in Shavasana already in your face. All right, now I want to give you an opportunity so you can get 7 minutes or so of good relaxation. Inhale, exhale, bend your legs at the knees, feet to the floor. Take a breath when you're there. Then inhale, exhale, press your feet, lift your hips up, take the block out. Take a breath when you're there. Bring your knees into your chest, take a breath when you're there. And now when you stretch out to relax for Shavasana, support your neck if you want. Put something underneath your knees if you need. But most importantly is cover yourself with a blanket. And if you have an eye pillow or a towel, put it lightly over your eyes or put the belt across your eyes to cut out some light. So now in every Shavasana, you have a chance to create the conditions for calm. So the dueling systems in your nerves, the sympathetic one, which gets you activated for fight and flight, and the parasympathetic, which calms you down, well, that's the one that we want to activate. We want to inhibit the sympathetic and activate the parasympathetic. So to relax well, I want you to realize the influence of these things I'm about to name on your ability to go deeper and deeper. So the first thing we say is get comfy. Choose a position that is one in which you can relax in. And obviously, it's not just your position, it's your environment. Much tougher to do this if you're like living next to a jet plane runway or the jackhammer of a construction site or a punk rock band playing at full volume. And other things, of course, like it's too drafty, there's bugs or smoke from the factory. So the comfy is not just in the position, it's in the environment that enables you to let go. The second thing is learn to release your grip, which we did to some extent by stretching our muscles and getting rid of the tightness in the musculature and the joint structure. The third thing is stay warm. Warm skin stimulates the anterior hypothalamus, which is a relaxation-inducing center that inhibits the activating systems. Number 4, go upside down. Something about changing the flow of gravity, moving more blood into the cardiac area and into the brain. That puts pressure on the different sensors in your neck and face. And when they feel the extra increase of pressure, they send a contrary message to the brain, pressure increasing, lower the pressure. And so the heartbeat slows, the muscle tension relaxes. There's a general shift into the rest and restore mode, just as a recovery after inversions. Then turn down the lights. Really important to realize that serotonin is light sensitive. So especially during the day, cover your eyes and see what that does for adding another layer of relaxation. Sometimes you're right on the brink, and darkness could be just the thing you need to tip the physiological balance from activation to passivity. Then the light eye pressure, slightly having something against your eye. It could be barely noticeable, but it's just enough. Your eyeball recedes, moves into the back and the base of the skull. You hardly feel the eyelid over the eyeball because the eyeball has somehow shrunk. So just this light pressure on the eye causes another level of deactivation of the cerebral cortex because the optic nerve is connected to the frontal brain. And then 7, allow yourself to relax. You got to give yourself permission. If there's any feeling inside yourself that it's not safe to relax, it's not socially acceptable to relax, that you got to be out and doing something productive, that you were taught that this is too self-indulgent. But remember, reassure yourself it's okay to let yourself relax. You got to give yourself a break. It's not just me who's saying, I recognize how long you've been trying to make it right. You deserve a break. And remember, you're actually more productive when you give yourself a break. So give yourself permission, no crime to relax. And then probably most important, you got to stay a while. In and out doesn't give the chance for the stress hormones to kick in. To develop it fully, you got to stay tens of minutes. So that means if you want to be hooked on this feeling, you got to lounge and let go. As you come back to your daily life, take a moment to use the power of affirmation. Every end of a yoga class is a golden opportunity to program your own biocomputer and tell yourself the things that you want to see grow in greater degree. We're talking about the world of your inner imagination, where you have freedom and dominion to think and picture anything you want. When you practice yoga, you get a certain kind of grit, a certain kind of resilience. If you wanted to, you could call it inner strength. So our parting affirmation is about inner strength. Through the power of spirit in me, I have strength and energy to accomplish all that's before me to do. I'm released from the pressure of external demands. I have inner resources to meet every outer need. I set the tone of the coming days. Patience, wisdom, insight, peace, and love are with me now and throughout my life. Through the power of spirit in me, I have strength and energy to accomplish all that is before me to do. And so it is, my friends, my inner strength friends. May you all be released from the pressure of external demands, knowing you have inner resources to meet every outer need. May you all set the tone for the coming days so that when you leave here today, you can honestly be able to say, peace, wisdom, insight, patience, and love are with me now and throughout my life. May that ever be so. All right, if you drifted off and lost conscious contact with your breath, slowly float your awareness back to the inhale and exhale cycles. And notice how every inhale has the sense of animating, charging, and vitalizing your system, while every exhale has the calming, tranquilizing, and sedating quality. Every new inhale, come back with a surface, with zest for life and passion for existence. And yet every exhale maintains the anchor into the shanti, or the peace that's just below the surface. With your next inhale, come back with your gifts, your talents, and the golden qualities of your personality to serve the world at large. And then with your exhale, take a flower petal and in your mind's eye, offer it to the foot of your deity, or however you conceive of higher consciousness, and letting go of the struggle of your ego's story, and instead identifying with the joy of being itself. Get ready to return and make your contribution with a heart filled with gratitude and love. All right, gently bend the leg at the knee, inhale, exhale, push yourself over toward the right, head down, chin down, heart down. Let the blood clear the cardiac area. And then tucking the chin to the chest so the head is the last thing to return to place. Press your sides and come on up. And just sit up in cross-legged posture with your hands in namaste for a second and get centered. So namaste to everybody. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me tonight. I hope that you got what you came for. Tracy, thank you so much for setting this up for everybody. We hope we'll be back at some time, if not before the new year, maybe, but certainly we hope in 2021 we'll be back again. I'm going to hang out here for a minute or two. If anybody has any questions or comments, this is the time to unmute yourself and we can get into a dialogue. If you have to go because the Bears are on TV and you want to watch them tonight, fine, go and watch the second half. I don't care. But if anybody wants to hang out, I'm here. Please subscribe to my website, GabrielHalpern.com, so you can get all the free downloads and cherry pick the stuff that I got going there. And I invite everybody always to reach out to me. I'm a very easy person to talk to on the phone or internet, whatever. I'd love to continue our yoga conversation with you, but you have to pong it to my court. And then I promise I'll get back to you, as the students who do that know that I do. So I invite you to do that. And so with that, I'm going to say goodbye, unless some of you unmute yourself and start asking questions, in which case I'm going to be here for you. And Nancy, I expect to speak to you and Susan really soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Who said that?
Nice.
Who enjoyed it?
I really did, Dawn.
Yes, Dawn, tell me something specific that you enjoyed. A general compliment is not so good.
All right, so you have a lot of sayings. I didn't write any of them down, but you just like come out with them like crazy, and they're
Bumper sticker mantras, that's what I
yeah,
call it.
no
Yeah.
peace without justice.
I love that one. That's right. Because again, there are some humanists who like lean towards the liberalism. So we got to, if we don't change it for everybody, it ain't good. Love is inclusive. Everybody got to come along. And we got a lot of other people in this country who like, wow, I think I know it's judgmental, but I try to see the spirit in them, but they need some help to see the spirit in them themselves. Because I think a lot of people have lost contact with something that's really essential for us to have some unity and justice. So we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah.
And spirit and soul difference. I like you pointing out.
Thank you very much. It's a good one. I mean, there really is no difference. It's just words that make you think slightly differently. They're connected on a continuum from where there's form to where there's no form. But the strange paradox is there's no difference really, just verbally. But thank you for sharing that.
Gabriel, quick question. You had a comment about legitimacy.
Yes.
In that back. I didn't catch could you reiterate that if you don't mind?
Yeah, I was just saying that the things that we exist with as ideas and concepts that basically run societies, run nations, are all based on legitimizing certain ideas. If you withdraw the legitimacy from why you maintain a belief or a position, it falls apart. And I use the example of money as an example of something that it's just a piece of paper, but because you're willing to believe it's backed up by gold standard or whatever, then you use it as a medium to measure things and exchange stuff. But it's really just an idea, right? But it's a very powerful idea, because if you try to act like money doesn't mean anything, it doesn't get you very far. So it's almost like a collective illusion. It's all over the world. This is what capitalism has done. We've bought into a certain kind of legitimacy, but it's just as true for political systems stay there. How did Russia fall apart? How did the Union of Soviet, how did that fall apart? Enough people delegitimized what the Politburo had to do. And overnight, a bloodless coup. Who would have thunk it? Because that's an example. So there's many other things that we believe in, like religion, right? We buy into a certain kind of superstition and fear over something that has very little empirical evidence, but yet so many people believe that it's true, and look what you can do as a result of it. You can either build a pyramid or build a Holocaust, because people legitimize certain ideas. So, we're capable of incredible creation and the most heinous things that you can conceive of people doing to each other because of how you legitimize ideas.
Tracy, can you tell him I said the nose breaths were magical?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Gabriel, Julie has something to say to you.
Who said that?
Julie does it in her chair.
Yes.
So, the nose breathing was magical. It was wonderful.
You can even have a deviated septum, and it's not an excuse to breathing.
So good.
Thank you. And it was so simple, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. You don't even have to do it for a long time, but even if you do it for a long time, it's worth it. Just do it. So again, if you subscribe to my website, I have free videos, free pranayama videos. I'm knocking out one every morning. I'm up to 191.
And that's on YouTube, right?
Yes, it is. Right. So you can just cherry pick there or subscribe. I'll send it to you every day. But like I've been doing it every day for, 9 months now. Just think about it.
Yeah.
So I just keep on going, You got to put things out there. So if you want a little morning sermonette and about 15 to 20 minutes of breathing, because I know there's so many things you got to do in your day. Don't want to take out too much time for your yoga practices. I got to get back to it. But it's there too. So take advantage of it if you want.
Thank you.
I had a question. You made a reference to Krishnamurti. Blah, I can't say. Murti. Thank you. Could you repeat what you said?
I can. Fortunately, I know what I said. Remember, yoga teachers know the last thing you just said. That's very important. but then also make sure there's a student who knows what you're talking about. So that if you have a senior moment, you can say, RNJ, what was the last thing I just said? All right. Krishnamurti says, when thinking begins from conclusion, no investigation is possible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he was also pointing out that you don't start by knowing your answer. You have to find what you just ask the question and see where it leads you.
Yeah, well, that could be another way of, like when I'm saying about religion already gives you the deal, so you don't have to think about it, because the thinking already begins from the conclusion. They're telling you what the situation is, and they're justifying it with, the superhuman, some divine being is making it such that that's why it is. So you buy into that, and then you don't have to think. But the spiritual search is when you don't accept what tradition says. You have to find out for yourself. Right? No,
and you said you can short circuit all of that by just surrendering.
So they say. But again,
but you have to know what you're surrendering to, right?
Well, that would be partial, or just you could just surrender in general. But listen, like Thich Nhat Hanh says, if you give up a little bit, you have a little peace. If you give up a lot, you have a lot of peace. If you give up everything, you have complete peace. But what does that mean to give up everything? It's something you have to think about. What do I hold on to? What don't I give up? So if you have the idea of a deity, it's something that you surrender to because it's a power greater than yourself. But it's the same thing when I talk about my marriage and a love affair. You win. Give up. Stop trying to prove again, do you want results or do you want to be right? So if you want to be right, fight with people all the time. Convince them you know better. Convince them you're smarter. Convince them your way is better. Don't work. Just give in. Surrender. So who are you surrendering to? But again, it's 2 eggs into an omelet. If the other person becomes a symbol of divine grace in your life, you're still surrendering to the divine beloved. It's just that this is the microcosmic form that keeps you from, at least I can only speak for myself, I don't need to play shadow games with other people. So don't think from conclusion, not good. And believe me, this is another reason why I say study asana with somebody on an ongoing basis, because they're always feeding back for you. Your posture isn't as good as you think it is. So that kind of always humbles you to take the stance where it's not so bad to admit, to see a fault of mine, to want to improve myself. So I have to take the hit and not think it's so bad when somebody criticizes me because they're doing it to improve my performance. And then, you learn that off the mat. So people trash talk you. So what? You let it bounce off you. Remember, no more avenging, no more revenging. Let go. Yeah. All right, we got a comment. Kim, you got something to say?
Not really. I'm just percolating.
Oh, she's Oh, I love that. I love that word.
I percolate.
I'm percolating. I'm holding my kumbhaka and I'm percolating inside. Okay, that's great.
I really appreciated the part on forgiveness and the hurt of the world.
Yeah.
And whenever you teach, I really appreciate all the different, I have a huge background in Christianity as a church leader, and I really appreciate all the different traditions coming together.
Yeah.
I like it. It's nice.
Yeah, really important. So again, it's the same thing. Just, Jesus is one of my main models, even though I'm not a born again Christian, but that has nothing to do with accepting the teachings. And also because so many of his teachings, since I study my own background, in Jewish scriptures, so much of what he has to say, even though he said, I came to bring new wine and new wineskins, but he has so many things that are just basically traditional Jewish teaching. And so again, let ye who is without sin cast the first stone. He's talking about forgiveness, isn't he? And you just look in the world, so many people need to be let off the hook. Enough people is groveling on other people's thumbs. You don't want to do that. So it's a basic teaching, but you could call it Christian or not. It's why give it a once you give a label to anything, it seems like you're limited to that scope. Mm-hmm. So why call yourself this, a yogi or a Christian or a Sufi or whatever, or even a gender? What makes a person a man or a woman besides certain biological facts that we say indicate differences in how hormones are, or the content of how much fat there is in your muscle, or, you know, reproductive organs that enable you to do one thing. But other than that, it's concepts that we legitimize and make real, and they're not real. They're socially imposed in a certain way. So wherever you take the, you know, again, one of the Indian traditions is like a bee gathers honey from different flowers. So a sage takes wisdom for wherever they find it, and truth is known by many names. So you just get over the fighting over different names. Who cares who has the right name? Does anybody really have the right name? So I should kill you because you have a different name than me?
Or maybe they all have the right name.
Or from yoga's point of view, there is no name. It points to the thing that has no name. All right, because once it comes down to, remember, you know, another one of my old teachings that I love is, remember, once the prayer goes through the roof of the church, the synagogue, the kanka, the mosque, whatever, God can't tell what denomination it came from, because God only buys from wholesalers, not retailers.
Love that.
So so the whole idea is to get high, right? But you have to get so high, the higher you go, the less difference it makes. Till you get so high, it makes no difference at all. And then when you hit that point of universality, you see the truth in every single teaching, and then you see the bogus quality in every teaching. And then you know how to avoid fanaticism and dogmatism, and how to take the universal truth. And you still can be connected to a system or a lineage, but you're not lost in it. You're not trapped in it. Anyway, thanks for sharing that. Mimi, you got something to say?
No, I'm just taking it all in.
All right, fine. Keep percolating over there.
Keep percolating, yeah.
All right. And Carly, anything to close out for you? You good?
Yes, I'm good. I just kind of had a question also about, like, have you like ever gotten like Christianity? Like, I know I have people like I've been friends with who've been super Christian. They've told me like things like I'm going to hell for doing yoga. Have you gotten things like that before? Even though I go to church myself.
Oh my God, the fear of fire and brimstone, you're going to go to hell. I think that's a wonderful thing for an all-loving God to be so diabolical, don't you? You know, I can tell you a story. You have to ask me, have I ever experienced something like that? Oh God, who are you talking to? In 1993, when they had the 100th year anniversary of the World Parliament of Religions here at the Drake Hotel in downtown Chicago, I was invited to be the representative for Iyengar Yoga. Fine. All right. You cannot imagine the amount of ego that was in this place. Every single person strutting their stuff in their outfits, whether they are Sufi sheikh or a Shinto Buddhist or, you know, a Wiccan priest. It was just incredible, right? So I'm teaching my class, and a group of Seventh-day Adventists come into the class with a film crew. And they say, excuse me, we want to film your class to show our congregation. I said, well, that's fantastic. Feel free, come on in. So they filmed the whole class, and I think this is really going great. And at the end of the class, they say, thank you very much. Now we can go back home. We wanted to show everybody Satan in action.
Oh, wow.
And part of my class got on ABC News that night, but fortunately not from them. But I'm saying, of course. And I used to teach in Springfield, Missouri, I used to call it the buckle of the Bible Belt. You know, and I used all my Christian metaphors there. And, you know, once had a weird time about trying to talk about social justice to a Christian woman who said, I don't have to worry about social justice. God's in heaven and all's right in the world. And I said, what about Jesus saying, as you've done unto the least of these, so you've done unto me? You know, sometimes they don't get it, but, you know, every teaching is open to interpretation. And, you know, interpretation means it's going to come through you subjectively. And I guess as long as it's coming through a person's ego, there's a chance where it's supposed to be distorted. But this is why I think a person is supposed to have a direct experience themselves and not be relying on somebody else's version. And that's one of the problems with all organized religion. It's somebody else's version. And although they can take you, you know, to some deep places, if you stop along the way, and many people do, then you confuse what I call the small way for the great way. And you think that your individual path is the whole thing. But if it hasn't shot you out the other side to be a universal being, it didn't do its job. So when I meet people like that, I usually don't spend a lot of time with them or find a way to bless them and let them prosper elsewhere. And try not to be judgmental, but pray that if the Holy Spirit can come to people and give them direct revelation, you know, in my arrogant way, I hope the Holy Spirit can come to them, because right now my discriminative intellect and my closed heart doesn't make me feel like the Holy Spirit has come to them, because birds of a feather, I recognize people whose hearts are open and whose minds are open. They don't talk like that. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but you know, when a person is feeling good, they usually don't sling shit. And when a person is pissed off or hurt, their words reflect that. And you know that immediately, because that's not how you talk when you're feeling good. And I know that people who are, if they think they're carriers of the doctrine, bearers of the torch, really paying, you know, doing witness to what they think the truth of the word is, you know, self-righteousness is very, very dangerous. And to distinguish between righteous behavior and self-righteous behavior, it's a fine line. So what can I say? Pray for guidance. And, you know, if you find somebody modeling for you a way to be that shows you this is not how to be thankful that they've become a model for you to show you, I hope I never show up like that. Because the last thing I would want to do is to turn somebody off from the possibility of seeing the beauty and the depth that's in the spirit. I walk with beauty all around me, and so forth like that, right? So I would probably short circuit the conversation and wish them well, and not spend my time trying to get into an intellectual argument with them, because it's not about reasoning. And I would pray for them. I just think it's a real distortion of the doctrine, because it says perfect love casts out fear. So to put fear in people's heart, as if Big Brother's watching everything you do, and if you make one wrong step, you're dead meat. I don't know, that's something to like control a child or something like that, but it's really immature and ultimately psychologically damaging for people. Okay, so good luck with those people.
Yeah, thank you.
But of course, if you want to send them to me, I'd be glad to talk to them. We could talk about our love of Jesus. I know it's absolutely true. Every time I check out at Fresh Time, you know, there's one of the checkout people who I know exactly where they're coming from, because everything is about praise God, you know, and you know, I'm not worried about who's winning the election, because I know who the real boss is, you know, and that kind of, and I go right along with it. You're absolutely right. I have an attitude of gratitude just like you. I'm grateful for every day. I pray, blah, blah, blah. No need getting into like a nitpicking intellectual thing with them. I'm going to align with them on the level of where if the words that are coming out of your mouth have a ring of truth, hey, I can get with that. But if the words that are coming out of your mouth are a bunch of bullshit, I'll either stay silent or, you know, my face will probably make a kind of smirk, you know, like a, and then let it go. Let it go. But it's a good point. And unfortunately, we have to deal with it. There are a lot of people who are in fundamentalist mindsets. Even in yoga, my yoga is better than your yoga. My guru is better than your guru. Human beings do it in every field. So it's not just to condemn Christian fundamentalists. Hare Krishna fundamentalists the same way. Corporate capitalists are fundamentalists in the same way. Marxist, ultra left-wing people, right? QAnon people, right? They're all distorted in their own way. So I'm saying this teaches you how to recognize the extremes, and it's more like a middle path. All right, thanks everybody for indulging me. We'll see you soon.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks a lot for coming. Have a nice day. Lovely
Thank you
life.
so much.
Contact me soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.